Financing at your Honda dealer. Biggest bobbleheads in town, and we're ready for interleague play. It's the Battle of the Beltways right here on Mass in HD. A lot of families in the ballpark tonight. Kids coming in with their folks. It's alive out there on Half Street and in the left center field plaza. Southwest.com lineup for the Orioles. 8th in the American League in hitting. 13th in runs. Only Seattle has scored fewer. Miguel Tejada has made his return, hitting .268. A cleanup man with 4 home runs. But he's only struck out 9 times this year. He's a good contact guy. No DH, of course, for the Orioles or any of the American League teams on the road this weekend. Scott Olson has pitched 7 1/3 innings in his career against the Orioles with a start there last year. Gave up 3 runs, and he's 35-42 career. Rob, what's been the key to his recent success as you scout him?
Well, tonight, no pressure, Bob. Just go out there, be your great self. The last 5 starts have been fantastic. All 3 pitches have been working for him, Bob. And then square peg. This guy is tough to square up. No home runs in his last 5 starts. And accountability, held himself accountable after the ball game. Love his hard-charging attitude. But he held himself responsible for that loss because he wasn't able to get the bunt down late in the ball game. So I like the kid.
Nationals defense, they're down to the 2nd most errors in the league now. Niger Morgan has the night off in center field. Roger Bernardina takes over there, and Willie Harrison right. Desmond Guzman up the middle. Zimmerman done at the corners, and Pudge Rodriguez continues to start just about every day. 78 degrees, partly cloudy skies here at game time. That's our train game temperature. Visit trainsearch.com to locate an independent train dealer near you. It is hard to stop a train. We're going to let Jim Palmer get his oxygen back at altitude here after his trek up from the field.
You know, you could have taken the elevator. You didn't have to jog up the stairs. I mean, you're just showing up the young guys.
I tried to be like you, and did we score yet?
You're in time for first pitch of the ball game. Corey Patterson stepping in. A former Oriole is an Oriole again, and he's a former Nat. At least was for a while. And he slaps the first pitch of the game at 7:06 p.m. out to center fielder Roger Bernardina. Mike Esterbrook is the junior member of this umpiring crew. Jerry Lane at first base, the crew chief, Mike Winters, and Brian Runge. Ty Wigginton next. He's hitting .305, 2nd in the American League with his 12 home runs. Paul Konerko leads the AL with 14.
Well, it's almost a cliche, Rob, don't you think? A lot of times when opportunity meets hard work, and that's what Wigginton did, got himself in better shape. Didn't really know if he'd even be in the lineup, and then all the injuries.
Well, you got to be lucky. You got to find your way into the lineup first. Then you're successful. It's been like Christian Guzman with us. And the more he hits, the more you got to fit him in there, short, second, right field. And so Wigginton finally getting enough at bats to stay sharp, and he's putting up the numbers.
Yeah, great high ball hitter.
And another one out to center for Bernardina.
I really believe, Jim, that unless you get 500 at bats, you can't tell a guy's true worth. You can't sit down, get 4 at bats a week, and have any kind of consistency.
Well, you're right, and he had 23 home runs and 388 bats 2 years ago with Houston. And last year the last 2 months were pretty good for Ty, but this year, of course, playing every day, he knows he's going to be in there. Not as much pressure if he can play.
And Jim, I have to admit, we're a little surprised to look up in the middle of May here and see Nick Markakis with 2 home runs.
Well, they've been pitching him. You don't have that prototypical Adam Dunn type 4th hitter. They're going to really pitch around him. I think the one thing, if you look at the on-base percentage, up there around 40% of the time, a lot of doubles. The directions of hits, he's hit a lot more to center and left because that's the kind of hitter he can be. It's kind of like facing George Brett. You make a decision. He's a real good player, as was Brett, Hall of Famer. You're going to let him pull the ball or give him singles to left?
Singles to left.
Yep, all the time.
Bob gets tired of hearing me say it.
I never get tired of it.
Until a guy shows me and beats me the other way, why would I ever come inside with a pitch?
Can anybody say Rod Barajas? And a 2-1 pitch. Adam Dunn can't get to it. The Orioles have their first base hit.
So I wanted to ask Jim, as Markakis gets that hit to right, is there a lot of value in having a guy like Adam Dunn in the lineup?
Well, it certainly is, especially in the American League with the DH. And, if you look at around, if you go to New York, what do you got? A-Rod and Teixeira. And if you go down there, they got Longoria and Pena, even though he can hit home runs, even though his average is under 200. But almost everywhere you go in the American League, most of the good teams have that DH, the guy you can plug in there, or the fourth hitter. But not necessarily have to be your DH.
So you always knew where the hammer was in the middle of the lineup, the guy you would probably avoid.
Well, that shadow is always there, Rob. When you're out there. You can see it from the mound.
Well, he's a free agent at the end of the year, and the Nationals have not extended him yet.
Here's Miguel Tejada, 289 career hitter, hitting 268 for the Orioles, who signed him to a 1-year free agent contract at the end of January. And he's become, at this stage of his career, not the power hitter he used to be. But, Jim, he's almost always making contact. Very few strikeouts anymore.
Well, he swings at everything. But he's also able to hit it. He had 199 hits last year, 46 doubles, most multi-hits in the National League. You guys probably saw him a couple of times when he was playing for the Astros.
He did. And he's still very talented. And he actually, now he's playing third base for you guys, but he was an excellent shortstop.
Yeah, it looks like almost like a two-seam fastball down and away.
Changeup. That's his circle change. And the reason he's been so good, and we talked about this before we went on the air, he only throws 3 pitches. He throws a fastball, curve, changeup. And he's very good at all 3 of them. Not great, but they're all good, and he throws them around the strike zone.
0-2, Pudge sets up outside. And Tejada grounds it foul.
Yeah, I think if anybody ever, and I'm sure the scouting reports will talk about this, Steve Bacatti, the pitching coach for the Nationals, was just saying, we tell them what we see, we give you suggestions, and then you do what you do best. And if you look at the film, you want to get the ball down to Miguel. He's a great high ball hitter. He can hit the ball to right center, down the right field line with the best of them. So he wants to get his arms extended.
Outfield plays him straight away. Markakis at first base, 2 outs, and the count 0-2 still. Rodriguez again sets up on the outer half. Adam Dunn was playing off the bag. Adam lately has been playing first base with runners over there standing directly between them and home plate.
Probably work better if he's as big as he is to stand directly between them and second base. Probably won't let him do that. He is a big man.
Yes, he is.
Tejada rips it. There's a Gold Glove over there at third base. And Zimmerman feeds it to Guzman. The Orioles retired in the first. How about this majestic flight on a Friday night? But they're 11th in runs. And the lineup is a little different tonight with Willie Harris leading off. Nyjer Morgan out of the lineup. Adam Dunn, like David Ortiz and a couple of other big power guys, Ty Wigginton in the other league, has come alive in the month of May. In his last 9 starts, 13 hits. And this is 25-year-old David Hernandez, who comes in 0-5 with a 5.84 ERA. It's his 8th start of the year. Opponents are hitting .270 against him, and he misses to Willie Harris.
Yeah, he's been really wild, and that's gotten him in trouble. The home run ball last year.
23 walks, Jim, 24 strikeouts in 37 innings.
And the walks have been over the last 3-4 games, as has the home runs. Went the first, after giving up 27 last year, and it really did hurt him. It was pretty good, working on a two-seamer, but lately, did have some arm problems, missed his last start. But he's a power pitcher. He does have a curveball and an occasional change.
But he's been erratic, like Bob said, with the walks, and 83 fly ball outs to 37 ground ball outs.
Well, that's why they were working on the two-seamer.
Yeah, he's got to get the ball down. Here you see on the pitch track, way outside with it. But he's got good movement.
Well, he does, but you got to throw a strike. Now you're in a hitter's count. And now you're in a real hitter's count.
And I know you can get away with some fly balls here, but in Baltimore, not the best of ideas.
No, and he really pitched well in his last start, but into the fifth inning, he ran a fastball middle of the plate. Ryan Langerhans hit a home run, and then they misplayed a couple of balls for a run. The next inning, got the first 2 outs, and then walked the 2, and has no idea of how he did it. And that's one of the problems. Young pitcher, as you mentioned, just turned 25. Real good arm, and I think most people in our organization, until Chris Tillman, until Jake Arrieta get up, then he'll go to the bullpen.
3-2 to Willie Harris, hitting a .183, but he drove in a couple of runs last night. Willie came in off the bench in that game last night, had a 2-run pinch single, a ground ball for an RBI a little bit later. So not that 183 is good by any means, but he does have 3 homers and 13 RBIs. In the leadoff spot tonight. Three-two pitch. In the air to left. Corey Patterson is under it.
Let's take a look at our scouting report tonight on David Hernandez. Well, they don't score a lot of runs for him, so even if you were really pitching well, very, very difficult. 21 runs, only 7 of them in the 7 games he started. What you talked about, Bob, the 23 walks and 37 inning pitch, and then the home run ball. It's kind of reared its ugly head. 5 in the last 3 starts. So when you couple that with not getting any runs support, only Seattle in the American League less runs on the year than the Orioles. They have not scored for a lot of pitchers. David's one of them.
Seattle 136 runs, the Orioles 147. And one of the hottest hitters in the National League suddenly is Christian Guzman. 438 in 16 games in May. And he's tied for second in the league with Ryan Braun at 333. The injured Andre Ethier still sitting at 392. And Guzman couldn't buy a base hit 2 weeks ago from the left side of the plate. He's been hitting great right-handed all year, but the left side, he's really come alive. 280 now overall from that side of the plate.
Jim, I wanted to pick your brain on the difference between pitching and throwing. Throwing 4 pitches and going out there and pitching a game.
Well, there's your changeup. Well, that's part of pitching. If you look, if you're the Nationals and you look at film, you can pretty much, you can just take the curveball and the changeup out of the equation until he starts throwing a first strike, and then you become a pitcher and not a thrower. But again, it's fastball command. It's going to try to go up and in. There's really not, other than Brian Madison, the whole Orioles staff, other than maybe Kevin Millwood, we'll see him on the weekend, of guys, because they're so young, comfortable pitching inside. And it's almost like an exercise in futility.
2-2 to Guzman. He'll guide it to the right side, and right there's Luke Scott. 2 outs. Orioles right now ranked 9th in the American League defensively.
Yeah, real good outfield, Bob. Patterson, Jones, and Markakis, very, very fleet. So the big outfield, they'll run the ball down. The infield, a little different story. Tejada, as Rob said, moved from short to third. As Torres, Wigington, and then Luke Scott is really a DH playing first base.
How much do you guys miss Brian Roberts in that respect?
Oh, well, we miss him in so many ways. On-base percentage, the ability to turn. I mean, he led the American League in doubles, the most ever for a switch hitter with 56. He can do everything. And he's been out all year. I mean, he tried to comprise spring training in about 8 days, stole a base, compressed the disc, which is herniated, back on the DL. He's starting baseball-related practices, so hopefully he'll be back sometime in the middle of June.
Ryan Zimmerman hitting .311.
also one of the best leadoff guys in the game.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, he sets the tone, he gets on, he drives the pitchers crazy, running the bases, I mean, scoring runs. I mean, a lot of that stuff you miss, but he's just a tone setter.
And then somebody else has to take his place, and you ask them to put on a different skin, and it just doesn't work, especially when you're trying to replace somebody that good. The amazing thing, we were talking down in Texas, is that when the Elias did that analyst, they said, you take out your best player, Mattingly with 35 home runs, 153 RBIs, it's only 5 games. As much as I know and respect numbers, I can't buy into that.
No.
Take Pujols or Zimmerman out of this lineup. Is it only 5 games?
No.
I think it's got to be more.
It's 150 games of that guy's presence in the lineup that changes everything else. On an off-speed pitch, it's low, 2-2.
Well, and I've interviewed Jim Rice many, many times, and his managers would want him to take a day off, and he'd say no, because my presence in the lineup helps guys get better pitches. And even if I'm off my game or I don't feel well, I got the flu, me being in the lineup puts pressure on the pitcher.
This one popped up near the batter's box, foul ground, and Craig Tatum has it. Nats go in order, no score. O's and Nats in the first. For IT Pros, and here's Debbie Taylor with our AFCIA sideline report.
Well, Scott Olson has a terrific slider, and when it is at its best, it is simply filthy.
It's almost unhittable when it's at its best. It moves different directions, and I really don't know where it's going to go when I throw it. I just know it's going to go somewhere. It's very rarely does it go straight and hang. It's generally moving somewhere, so it's generally a swing and miss pitch for me that I'll go to quite a lot.
Scott told me, too, that it's a field pitch, and sometimes it just doesn't feel right, but he's been on a nice run, and he hopes that continues.
Scott singles off Scott as Luke Scott opens up the second with a leadoff hit for the Orioles.
Well, if that slider's that good, he should have thrown it to him, because Luke Scott came into this game, just red hot, hit out of 20 for his last 41 with power. He doesn't miss too many fastballs.
6-game hitting streak for Luke now. He's 12 for his last 19. That'll bring up Adam Jones.
He's at peace with himself. He's relaxed.
Luke is?
Yes, he's walking through the desert. He's discovered an oasis where you can get a cool drink of water.
Yeah, but is he able to pursue his hobby of cooking out there? That's what I'm wondering.
I think he's doing something downtown, a cook-off on Wednesday.
He's a good cook. That ball is really hit by Adam Jones, and the Orioles are going to take the lead over the scoreboard. That is a big shot for a right-handed batter in this ballpark, and his 4th of the year and an 8-game hitting streak puts Baltimore on top 2-0.
It might have been that slider.
Well, sometimes almost unhittable if it was. Adam Jones hadn't been hitting home runs. That's the first one he's hit in the month of May.
Well, and the first one that Olson's given up in the last 6 games, the fastball up and away. maybe even a changeup, and it gets crushed.
Well, the one thing about Adam Jones, he does like to extend his arms.
Yeah, well, you don't want any power hitter to extend his arms, especially on a hanging changeup up in the zone. So the location's terrible, and now that fan's happy he's got it.
26-year-old catcher Craig Tatum. Nats saw him a little bit last year when he was with Cincinnati. Hit a .162 in 26 games for the Reds.
Well, he's a good catch and throw guy, and that's why he made the club. The Orioles had Chad Bowler, who's been around the league, but just did not throw well this spring, and they kept Craig simply because he can call a good game. He's got an excellent arm, and not going to play a lot with Matt Wieters, your regular catcher. Wieters hit a ball off his kneecap last night, and I would imagine, even though the Orioles got into Washington somewhere around maybe to the hotel 5:20 or 5:30, so that's the reason he's not playing. Tatum usually plays on a Sunday game after.
They are teeing off on Scott Olsen right now. Nothing cheap about the Baltimore hits. And Tatum now with that base hit, 5 for 22 on the year, playing in his 11th game.
Well, Rob and I both know it's kind of like real estate. It's about location. So if you're going to throw your changeup up, Steve McCatty knows this, and if you're going to throw your fastball at 90, 89 miles per hour, even to a guy that's a line drive hitter, they're going to hit the ball hard.
And this is a team, especially the Orioles or any team in the American League East. They're going to be able to pound the ball. And so, I like a guy that has confidence, but to say any of your pitches are unhittable, I don't think I would go out there with that attitude.
Well, yours were inside to Cesar Izturis.
Don't say mine were.
Rob's were.
You're in the Hall of Fame.
No.
And how about this? Mariano Rivera, and I've interviewed him a dozen times, maybe two. Never once have I heard him describe his putter as unhittable.
Very humble guy.
Yeah.
A man of God.
This game will humble you.
That one right field line just foul. Off the bat of Izturis, who comes in hitting .229. A little better from the right side. He's nearly .260.
And again, a ball just a little bit up. You'd like to be down about maybe, 6-7 inches? And, of course, Izturis would like to have that ball 6 or 7 inches to the other side of the line.
And a lot of this is you don't know the Orioles, but they do have a lot of talent throughout that entire lineup. And they may not have been hitting, and I said this last night against the Mets, that if your location is bad and you get behind in the count, guys are going to tear you up. And that's what's happening to Olsen right now, is he's just getting all of his pitches up. And this is just a good hitting team for the American League East coming over here.
This one over by the dugout. Zimmerman. Plenty of room for the first out. A badly needed out for Scott Olsen here in the top of the second. And with the pitcher, David Hernandez, coming up.
He catches a break because the American League pitcher has to come up and hit now.
Well, I think it'd be bunting. Now, of course, whether he can bunt or not, that's going to be an issue. I would imagine Dave Tremblay would say, you know what, we just don't ever swing the bat. Don't want him hurt. So let's see if he can sacrifice. And of course, Zimmerman certainly knows that. He's
and you would be expecting most of the corner infielders here to be charging and pinching, and that's what Zimmerman and Dunn do.
Well, this is another reason I don't like interleague plays. That's the one thing that really stymied Chen-Ming Wang, and we now have possession of him, and he's trying to work his way back. He blew out his ankle with the Yankees in Houston running the bases, and he's never been the same since. So like the All-Star game this year, now they're going to the full-time DH wherever the games are. You have re-entry, all these new rules. But the one thing I do agree with, interleague play, just have the DH. That way, a guy like Hernandez, who normally does not hit most of his starts throughout the season, doesn't have to risk injury just to play this interleague game.
You know what, Rob? I think there are 5 guys in each dugout who would totally agree with you. The ones not playing tonight.
Well, of course, Olsen likes it. Yeah, Olsen likes it. The pundits would say, though, that it does give the National League an advantage, and I think we saw it right there. I would assume that if you're going to play in the National League, you better know how to bunt as a pitcher. I mean, I played before the DH. I mean, that was one of the things you work on.
3 career homers, right?
Yeah,
but you worked on it.
Every day.
Before the DH, you worked on it every day. What I'm saying is, David Hernandez, it's not working on that part of his game, and he's not working on running the bases and things like that. So all of a sudden, to come out here and try to maybe sprint around the bases a little bit like he did 4 years ago, he could blow out a hamstring or something.
No doubt about it.
Corey Patterson now has seen 2 pitches in this game. On the game's first pitch, he flied out to center.
Well, he's about getting strikes to hit. If he's going to be aggressive at swinging balls, he'll get himself out. Otherwise, he's a pretty tough out. Strong, short swing. There's your slider. Good one.
And this is one of the reasons that he hasn't been able to stay in the major leagues is a lot of strikeouts as a leadoff guy. His on-base percentage back with the Cubs was under 300 most of the time, and you can't be atop the order unless you make contact. Look at the hack swinging towards right field. And we had guys on our bus today that when we went over to Walter Reed Hospital, and they were discussing Corey Patterson. They said he was the best player in the minor leagues that they ever played with or against.
Right, and we have another guy that's been hurt. He pulled a trapezius muscle off the bone. Felix Pie, 299 hitter. Now he shortened his swing. And working with Terry Crowley, the Orioles hitting instructor, and I mean he was one of the leading hitters the last 2 months of the year, and the leading hitter in spring training and early in the season.
Corey with the Nats for a while last year in June. When Josh Willingham went on the bereavement list, he was called up June 13th. After hitting .302 in 39 games at AAA Syracuse.
But we all know the difference. And you talk to hitters, you talk to pitchers. I mean, if you're a pitcher, they don't span the strike zone. If you're a hitter, you get a lot of good pitches, and then you get to the big leagues. They throw harder, they command their stuff. There's more pressure. You feel like you have to succeed on every at bat. And you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and most guys can't handle it, especially when you're a fringe player.
2-2 pitch with 2 outs. Had him reaching right into the midsection of Adam Dunn, who will lead off the bottom of the second. Adam Jones, a homer. Orioles lead 2-0.
Palmer mentioned earlier, Matt Wieters not in the lineup for the Orioles tonight. Took a foul ball off of his right knee in an at-bat last night in Texas. The Orioles did take x-rays. They were negative. It's just a big bruise right now. They expect him to be back in the lineup tomorrow, and Dave Tremblay said he really wants to avoid using him even in a pitch hit situation tonight, Bob.
He'll be catching Brad Ferguson tomorrow night. Thanks, Amber. Bottom of the second inning coming up. Dunn, Willingham, and Rodriguez for Washington. Adam goes up, first pitch swinging. After Hernandez, retired Harris, Guzman, and Zimmerman in order. Adam Dunn's come alive in the month of May. 13 for 36 over his last 9 starts. 8th in the National League in home runs with 9.
Well, there's your... You know, it's interesting about David Hernandez. When he was coming up, I used to talk to Dave Schmidt, who played in the, pitched in the big leagues. He's our minor league pitching coordinator, and he said in the minor league, he threw the invisible fastball. 92 is 94, 94 seemed 96. But he hasn't, again, it's the big leagues. It's a little different. Right. I mean, there's no higher league than here in the major leagues. So again, that's kind of a purpose pitch, but he's just not comfortable pitching inside to lefties.
Adam Dunn gets jammed and skies it over foul ground. First base coach's box, handled by Luke Scott. During the second inning, we talk about all things dealing with the number 2s. And how about some home run duos? In the big leagues, nobody hitting more than Scott and Wigginton for the Orioles. As I mentioned earlier, David Ortiz has really come alive for the Red Sox. Call for the Luna Double. Get your second room of flooring free at 877-241-LUNA. John Buck on that list.
Oh, yeah. Well, but Batista's got most of them. And we saw Guerrero and Hamilton. Hamilton hit 2. The umpires messed up the call, and then Guerrero hit 1 last night. A towering drive, as he can do quite frequently.
Josh Willingham's only 3 for his last 16. But over those 7 games, still getting on base at a .435 clip. He's tied for the league lead in walks with 29 with Giovanni Soto, Adrian Gonzalez, and Chipper Jones. Much more selective this year is Josh.
In describing a guy like Vlad Guerrero, someone asked me this question: bad ball hitter. Does that describe him or just a good contact hitter?
Pretty much can hit anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, over his head, at his feet.
Well, he hit one off the ground the other night for a home run, and so Clint Hurdle is the hitting instructor, former player, and manager of Colorado, and I said to Vlad, I said, "You play golf?" He said, "I don't know," but Clint said he could hit a 1-iron. If anybody could, it would be Guerrero. Well, the minute you fall behind a good fastball hitter like Willingham, I still remember that exhibition game off of the guy that's now our closer, Simone, hit a grand slam. I mean, he hits the fastball as well as anybody.
Yeah, we remember that one going into the bullpen here. 3 balls and 2 strikes now. Willingham's hit 6 home runs, driven in 23. One of those rare sluggers with fewer strikeouts than walks.
DiMaggio-like.
And he takes another one. That'll be his 30th base on balls this year. Every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, Miller Lite Party Night here at Nationals Park. Get a Scoreboard Pavilion seat and a drink voucher for $20. For Prime games, it's just $2 more. Make sure to come early for the pregame happy hour at the Miller Lite Scoreboard Walk Bar, featuring $5 brews. It's jumping out there again tonight, and it will be tomorrow for a 4 o'clock game. Here's Pudge Rodriguez.
How's Hernandez from the stretch? Is he quick?
Actually
to the plate?
better. Oh, yeah.
Better?
They hit about 189 with runners on and runners in scoring position. He's terrific. The key, again, is don't walk people, as he just did. Of course, Willing had a lot to do with that. And then keep the ball in the ballpark. Well, that's really your scouting report.
And your pitchers have been doing a great job because Wieters he's thrown out 11 of 26. So you got a 42% throwout ratio. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, one of the best things, they got Jeff Datz, the bench coach, is a former catcher and catching instructor. He's done a terrific job. And it's great to work with somebody that's your #1 draft choice that's been rushed to the big leagues.
By the way, the Orioles team ERA 4.58. Nationals 4.56. So how does one team win much more than the other?
Offense. You have it to more of a degree.
Pudge locked up, and that's 0-2.
And one of the reasons that David, and this will be, we don't have this overhead camera shot in Baltimore yet, but if he stays pretty direct, and you could see falling off a little bit, but if the head goes to home plate, the ball's going to be down in the zone. When he peels off and shakes hand with the Nationals dugout, he's going to have problems.
Now, you saw on that overhead shot, he's pitching on the first base side of the rubber. Did you switch sides of the rubber?
No. I pitched kind of off the middle because I thought to be a good starter, you had to pitch to both sides of the plate. So, again, he's just going to get away with a hanger here.
Yep, 0-2 pitch. Good slow breaking ball. And when you're looking for 95 and it's 15 mile an hour slower, it's going to lock up a lot of knees.
He can be pretty good. He beat the Angels last year and Mike Scioscia, and there's what you're talking about.
But you said you were right about right.
Yeah,
in there,
I'd be right in the middle, and because again, I wanted to pitch to both sides. They moved him all the way over to the third base side last year, and it just didn't feel comfortable.
Roger Bernardina hitting .375 his last 8 games. He's up to .281 now. An exciting, young, very swift outfielder. Hit 2 home runs in a game at Citi Field in New York about a week and a half ago to get the Nats going on that road trip.
You know, he looks a little bit like Ben Ogilvy. Ben Ogilvy, yeah. I mean, he's got a little bit similar stamps.
6'2", 198, they list him.
I hear that he's kind of ripped.
He is tore up. And John McLaren and I were describing him. Reggie Sanders, Glenn Braggs. I mean, very few guys I've ever played with or against look as good as this kid. He's just put together. Genetics.
Yeah, Rick Eckstein, the hitting instructor, said he's come along. Got a chance to be a really good hitter. And, of course, the only way you can do that is get your at-bats. And then try to figure it out.
Upstairs, 2-1.
And a little changeup. We're going to see David Hernandez if he tries to throw the changeup. We had a talk with him a couple of weeks ago. Is you got to throw it at the right time. If a guy's late on your fastball, you certainly don't want to speed up the bat. But for the real guys, and when you start reading the bat and you see the bat head out there, it's a terrific pitch.
And a 2-1, skied into left center. Corey Patterson with the early call. Nationals don't have a hit through the first two. They've stranded a runner, and the Orioles lead 2-0. Your local Ford dealer invites you to experience Ford like never before. Ford, drive one. And by H.H. Gregg. We make buying TVs and appliances simple. H.H. Gregg. Price and advice guaranteed. Nothing like some interleague nachos on a Friday night. Wigginton, Markakis, Tejada for the Orioles in the top third against Scott Olson, who's thrown 28 pitches, 21 for strikes. But some of those strikes way too hittable. Wigginton flied to center first time up. And Olson gets an off-speed pitch fading to the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's a good change up there.
Yeah, those are the ones you want them to put in play. That was so well located. Good movement, good depth to it.
So you're mad. So you're mad when they swing and miss, right?
Well, you're not mad, but
well, the first pitch looked like a BP fastball. That's the good circle change. And a guy like Wigginton with all his home runs, the last thing you want to do is throw him a dead red fastball in the inner half.
And the 1-2, he gets a 2-hopper to Ryan Zimmerman. Off the bag, Adam Dunn the tag for the first out. There's our Nationals TV schedule for the next 5. 4 o'clock tomorrow, 1:30 on Sunday. DC 50 will join us for the Nats and the Orioles. And then after an off day Monday, on to 3 in San Francisco against the pitching-rich Giants. 3 at San Diego, the surprise team of the National League, and then on to Houston. So the Nats, who've only been home for 3 days, will play 2 more after tonight and then leave for another week and a half. Although we have been getting to bed earlier than 6 in the morning like the Orioles did today.
Yeah, it was a pretty, and then the Orioles went out on Tuesday night, so they got into Dallas at 4 o'clock Eastern time, 3 o'clock Dallas time. It's a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about the schedule. You leave home to go to Texas for 2, and I guess this is considered the way back home in Washington, right?
This is another road trip.
I think the schedule's getting stranger every year. Here's Nick Markakis. Had him reaching. Good pitch by Olsen. And to Adam Dunn. He waited a while and then pilled it over there for the second out.
Now, I live in Florida in the offseason, and the Marlins obviously are the team down there. And, now Tampa Bay, if you live on the other side of Florida, but if you live in the West Palm Beach area, has he settled down a little bit? Because he was always kind of a typical left-hander.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, he's still wild and, flaky left-hander kind of guy. But he's way more under control, and I think that Steve McCatty has a lot to do with that. And he's maturing. It takes all of us a lot of time to mature, and I think when he's out on the mound, he's been nothing but business.
Here's Miguel Tejada, who hit the ball sharply to Zimmerman first time up.
And you brought it up, and I talked to him about it the other day, actually, when we were in St. Louis, and he talked about now he just stays in his room. He's trying to stay out of trouble. He knows now that, his profession is out there on the field.
There's that changeup again.
And the thing that Rob and I like about him as well, Jim, he's got some fire in his belly. When some things haven't gone right, he's rearranged a little furniture here and there. But mostly it's been after he wanted to pitch deeper into some winning ball games than he did. It's not like he goes out there and gets shelled and then takes the clubhouse apart. When he pitches well, he still wants to do better.
And he had a hurt shoulder last year, and he sucked it up for 7 innings. That's the kind of kid he is. He is a tough nut. He loves to be out there and perform and do what he does and compete. And sometimes, not that I was ever emotional, but
you were able to wear. Never wore your emotions on your sleeves.
Never.
Sleeves, you notice I said sleeve, not sleeve.
And a 1-2 to Tejada. Little chopper that Zimmerman will have to charge. Bare hand. And that throw way offline. But they'll probably give Tejada a hit.
Yeah, that's a hit. That's almost an
no error given because no further advancement by the runner.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And he doesn't really circle it because I probably figure he had to get there, and you could see. Now, that would have been an error if he's able to advance, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I don't know how he caught it barehanded. And you can see
H.H. Gregg right here on the X mode, Jim. Describe it.
Well, no, I'm just saying, look at that. He can't get a hold on him, no wonder.
Yeah.
It'd be like trying to wind up and throw one from the pitcher's rubber.
Well, it looked like it popped out of his palm. It hit his palm, came out. I think it's just natural great ability that he was able to grab the ball back.
Hey, but it was going to be a hit.
Yeah. As Ryan has told us numerous times, the hard thing about that play is the ball goes into your palm and you're throwing a palm ball or a changeup to first base. So the Orioles get a 2-out hit, and here's Luke Scott, who singled ahead of the Adam Jones homer last time up. Baltimore's out, hit Washington here 5-0.
And I was talking to Adam Jones before the game, and the interview you'll see before the game tomorrow with Adam Jones and Nigel Morgan. And he said, you know what? I left Texas, got a little bit of sleep, got some lunch, and he was ready to go. He's the toughest thing for young players, Jim, and we can talk about this, is getting the routine, the life down of playing 7 days a week, traveling. We got in 4 a.m. from St. Louis the other night, had a night game the next day, trying to figure out where to get your rest. Sometimes getting your rest is 2 hours of sleep on a plane.
Yep. Well, and a lot of guys don't do that because they figure they're young, they can sleep anytime, and that's just get out of your pattern.
Nah, he's a great kid. I like Adam Jones an awful lot.
Well, so now you get a guy that, again, told us how good a slider is. He misses with him. And now you're back into that fastball count. And it's not that you can't throw it.
Right.
But you better command it well. Because otherwise, Luke Scott, one thing we've seen from Luke Scott, it's home run power, but it's to all fields. I know it's a little bit bigger than Camden Yards, but he can hit it to left center with the best of them.
This is a very fair ballpark. Guys tell you if you hit it well, it'll go out. But pitchers will tell you they haven't really given up any cheap home runs here. 336 left field line, 377 bullpen. It's 375 to the middle of that scoreboard, which is 13 feet high, and then 335 down the right field line. It's just a little bit off being symmetrical, but very fair.
And now, was it designed to be more of a pitcher's park?
I hope so. This is just into our third year here, and at times we try to figure it out. But when you look out to left center, coming down Half Street, that's straight to the north. When the wind's coming in from that part of the park, it can play very, very big.
Yeah, Camden Yards was designed, I think, more just to be very intimate. Not that this isn't, but I mean, really intimate look. And then, of course, when Mike Messina was going to be a free agent, they actually moved home plate back. So they wanted Mike to like the park more. And then they moved it back to its normal thing when he signed with the Yankees.
3-1 pitch. Olson walks Scott and now has to face the right-hander, to which he gave up the home run.
Well, the one thing about the Orioles, and we'll take a look at this home run. I mean, again, he hadn't hit one since the 24th of April. I mean, this is Adam Jones last year. He hit 19, got hurt the last month, and I really felt that this year he would come back to spring training if he stayed healthy. He's a guy that wouldn't have to try to hit 25 home runs, but would hit between 25 and 30 just because he's strong. And
it's about 385 to the end of that scoreboard. He hit it up and over, so that ball was probably close to 400 the other way.
Well, I talked to him before the game. It's just, it's kind of interesting talking to John McLaren, who came over as the bench coach here, and he said David Wright was tracking pitches every game in the bullpen here. And I said, Adam, do that for a couple of weeks. He's talking about, I'm kind of in a panic. I'm not seeing the ball.
Well, explain tracking.
Well, tracking is you go down and you actually, and I like to have a hitter up there, and you go down there and you watch the pitch, and you take that little separation, hands back, foot down, and you try to slow the ball down in a sense because you're in a more relaxed state.
Well, I heard that David Wright and Jose Reyes have been doing that, standing in the bullpen without swinging. And evidently that idea came from several years back because Barry Bonds spent a lot of time doing that in San Francisco.
But it's well known.
Visualizing pitches without swinging at them.
Well known that Ted Williams used to strike out a lot in spring training and just sit there and take so he could track the ball's flight in spring training. And
you know what?
Adam Dunn is a big tracker.
Adam said he spent a lot of the spring doing that.
Well, John's point was about Ted Williams. He said, my eyes, I used to fish, I used to play golf in the off season. He said, spring training is to get my eyes from the sleep mode to the awake mode. So you track pitches, you take more pitches, you do the little things. And that was Terry Crowley's a heck of a hitting instructor. He can work on all the fundamentals, but you got to be able to pick up the ball. You have to see it out of the hand, recognize what it is. And if you're anxious, it's harder to do.
Danger here, 2-1 to Adam Jones. And Olson, because he's all over the place, not getting calls now. Mike Estabrook called it ball 3. It's 3-1.
Might have just been off the plate right here.
No,
right on the edge of the pitch track.
That's why he does a little bit of a double take.
Yeah, he might have gotten fooled.
Yeah, he's on a little bit on the inside corner, too. Umpires say you need to encourage them to throw strikes. In other words, somewhere where the glove is.
Give him an excuse to raise that right arm, huh?
Yeah.
3-1 pitch. Danger again. And Jones hopping all over that, straight back and win. And the Orioles runners will be off for the next pitch. Catcher Craig Tatum on deck. Adam Jones has already driven in 2. And Scott Olson is laboring here. His next pitch here in the third inning will be number 50.
Now, Adam came into this game 100 points lower than he ended up last year with runners in scoring position. And that was 214 versus 314. That's a big, big, big drop.
Already up to almost 50 pitches here in the top of the third inning.
12 in the first, 16 in the second, and lots here in the third. 3-2. Runners on the move. Bases loaded.
Well, I got a chance to catch up with Don Sutton today on my radio show, and he said one of his former coaches walked out when he was a young guy in the minor leagues and said, listen, I don't see too many guys following up a home run with a home run. He said, but I do see a lot of guys after a walk following that up with a home run, meaning you don't want to start walking a bunch of guys. You want to throw strikes, challenge guys to put the ball in play, and I talk about that all the time. Your last resort is to let the guy walk down to first base. You'd rather challenge him and give your defense a chance.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I'm sure Steve McCaddy said just get back to doing what, you pretty much you did in the first inning. Markakis got a base hit, but it was on a good pitch. Just get back throwing quality pitches, but it all starts with strike one. He just says you have to encourage the umpire to call strikes. You have to encourage the hitter to swing the bat.
And another thing we see a lot of, Jim, is that guys, they have 3 pitches. Okay, one stops working. and guys will keep trying to throw it and throw it and throw it and get themselves in a jam like that instead of just saying, okay, that's not working right now, maybe I'll come back to it. Let's just try to get some outs and get out of this inning.
Greg Tatum single to left center, first time up.
Well, the one thing I've noticed already, and I'm not sure if this is a tendency, but he has yet to throw a ball into a right-handed batter.
Oh, we've talked about that.
But he does do it with sliders.
Yeah, okay.
He does do it with the slider down at their ankles, and he's not throwing a lot of them tonight. And we saw this with Craig Stammen's last outing, and then we talked to Steve McCatty after it. Was not a good outing, but did not throw his bread and butter pitch, was a big curveball. And he said, he asked Stammen, why aren't you throwing your curveball? So, I mean, it's a question of what are your strengths, and you go over maybe in the hitters meeting that, they like sliders in, they like pitches in on the inner half. Well, you can't go away from your strengths. Sometimes you have to challenge the hitters with your best pitch until they hit it, and it just seems like he's not challenging them with that, slider on the inner half.
And a 1-1 off speed outside.
Yeah, he's going a lot of fastball changeup and very few breaking balls at their ankles.
Well, I think the problem that he probably thinks he has is that if you're not commanding those two pitches for strikes, it's very hard to throw a slider, in spite of what he said in the interview.
Right.
For strikes.
We'll let that go. Describe why a slider brings all your mechanics back together.
Well, I think you just have to get your arm out in front. You have to throw downhill.
That front shoulder in.
Yeah, exactly. If you're throwing it properly.
2-1 pitch up the middle. Baltimore's going to score 2 more as Tatum singles. The walks deadly to the Nationals here in the 3rd inning, and Baltimore leads 4-0.
Well, you have 2 pitchers up here, and part of pitching is reading the bat as Jim Riggleman looks on. The first swing tells me he's looking for the ball away, and eventually he will get it in a hitter's count. You're a little bit lucky here because he hits it up the middle, but he's looking away. He gets it away. You can see it's belt high, and the Orioles have another 2 runs. The one thing, guys, what they do in the games they've won, and they're only 13, they're hitting over 350 with runners in scoring position. It drops all the way to 120. 120 in the games they've lost. So when they get the big hits, all the things change.
The Orioles tonight have sent 16 batters to the plate. There have been 2 walks, so that's 14, and they have 6 hits. So they're 6 for 14, and one of those outs was a pitcher trying to bunt.
And they've done this for a guy that never gets runs, David Hernandez. Yeah. That's why Dave Tremblay, the Orioles skipper's not a boy. So what? We didn't sleep last night. We might have to take more overnight trips.
Yeah.
Score more runs.
Turris fouled out to Zimmerman first time up. That's a breaking ball up high, 1-1.
And the amazing thing about Scott Olsen, the numbers when I talk to Steve McCatty, as I know you guys do every day, 4 runs in this last 32 and a third innings. He's really been on a roll.
Well, but he's really been attacking the inner half. Yeah. I mean, even up in Colorado, which is a hitter's ballpark, he kept the ball down and really pounded the inside with breaking stuff. He's thrown very few breaking balls tonight.
I mean, he's pitching like Tom Glavine. Everything away, away, away.
Well, they say the difference, of course, Glavine's going to the Hall of Fame because that pitch was strike 1.
Yeah, well, this is a 1-1 pitch. It's up and out.
And he's not getting any calls.
You're not going to get that pitch.
Because he's behind everybody.
Now, when you're erratic and you're all over the place, you've thrown 57 pitches here in less than 9 outs.
Miguel Batista is warmed and ready when needed. And Jim Riggleman may not have to make that decision because the pitcher is on deck. But if he walks this guy, he's going to have to throw some strikes to David Hernandez.
It almost seems like you might pitch around him, either make your perfect pitch and take your chances with a pitcher. And there's a breaking ball and finally gets a strike. There's no way I'm giving in to Turris with the pitcher on deck. Right? At least that's what I'd be thinking about.
No, this guy's a glove guy. He's always been known as a glove guy. He can almost knock the bat out of his hand, and you're going to walk him?
No, I'm just saying only if.
Well, I know. You got to start challenging these guys. Like you said, he's been so confident in his last 5 starts, and then just because it's an American League team, it's almost like you're going away from your strengths.
Bases loaded again.
Another changeup.
Third walk of the inning. Nice crowd on hand on a beautiful night at Nationals Park in our nation's capital. Bob Carpenter, let me get all this straight. Rob Dibble, Debbie Taylor, Amber Theo Harris, Jim Palmer, and Jim Hunter's coming in for the next half inning to spend half the game with you.
Well, you remember my movie, my big movie, The Naked Gun? We had like 6 broadcasters, and then we had our own psychologist, Dr. Joyce Brothers, in the booth.
We could use one of those.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of a similar game. A great import tonight.
Well, this is Scott Olson's rest of the night hanging in the balance right here.
Is it ever?
Has to retire the opposing pitcher.
Now, what do you think about Leslie Nielsen as far as the umpiring?
Yeah. Well, he actually probably called more strikes than Mike Estabrook had done tonight for Scott Olson.
Well, he had a great zone because he wanted to dance around calling those strikes.
Exactly. He liked the moonwalk.
Pretty good rip on a pitch that was up.
Now, if I told you that David Hernandez in high school hit 440, would you be impressed?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
I believe it because he was probably
I'm just
one of the better athletes.
I'm making it up.
Then.
I'm just kind of making it up just to add a little drama to this moment right here.
You're feeling pretty good about this 4-0 lead.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Well, all I know is, guys, you guys are 21 and 21. We're 13 and 29. If by chance we would win this game, I will drive back to Baltimore with a smile on my face. Orioles need a win.
And if it goes according to form, like last year, I call all the Oriole runs, and Hunter calls the Nationals runs. Well, it just seemed like it worked out that way.
He may have to leave early tonight.
0-2 pitch, broken bat, right on a line to Scott Olson. Orioles get 2 more and lead 4-0 after 2.5.
BAL.com, grab your bag, it's on. By Nissan. Right now, get a great deal on your new Nissan. During Nissan's National 10th event, see a Nissan dealer today. And by Jaguar. Visit your local Jaguar dealer to experience the 2011 Jaguar XJ. We're back at Nationals Park. This interleague game, Orioles with a 4-0 lead on the Nationals going to the bottom of the third. And hi, everybody. Jim Hunter with Jim Palmer and Rob Dibble. And I'm not sure if we should go wake up David Hernandez, but what is this, 4 runs for David Hernandez? Well, and it's only the third inning.
Yeah, he didn't come on the plane, so he got here a night earlier. And I don't know if he's happy because he's very young and he's probably in shock that he's gotten this many runs. Again, everything's been up tonight, but he's been able to get through the first 2 innings. And the Orioles, been able to take advantage of Scott Olson's wildness.
But Hernandez has really good stuff. He throws in the mid-90s. Even our guys were talking about this before the game, that he's got a really good arm. It's just command issues, and you're even talking about putting him in the bullpen. So eventually, could you see this guy maybe closing in the big leagues?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, Rick Kranitz, the Orioles pitching coach, when he first saw him last spring, said he's going to be a bullpen guy.
Ian Desmond leads off for the Nats as David Hernandez goes to work. Scott Olson, the pitcher spot, is due on deck, and there's Levon Hernandez on deck.
Well, I think Levon's an excellent hitting pitcher, and he's closing in on 200 career hits. And he's got 9 home runs in his career. So I think that Jim Riggleman doesn't want to burn a late inning pinch hitter right here to hit for the pitcher.
2-1 on Ian Desmond. National shortstop, and Hernandez misses outside. And the last thing you want to do after your team got you 2 more runs is walk the leadoff hitter.
Well, again, it's what we talked about is command issues. The walks have been up, the home runs have been up over his last 3 starts. Still pitched well enough with Juan Samuel, Oriole third base coach, looking on.
Former teammate of mine.
Oh, right, yeah.
Sammy, played against him a lot. Actually, he hit a home run off me when he was a Met. Opposite way.
Does he remember that?
I don't know. He probably remembers the brawl we had the day before. But he is one of my favorites.
Yeah, good guy.
Yep. When he was with the Tigers, we used to, we were in Plant City, they were in Lakeland, and be about 10, 15 of our guys and about 10 of their guys. We'd always meet up for dinner once a week.
This Torres plays it cleanly, gets it across, and 1 down, and the Nationals still looking for their first base hit. As David Hernandez is looking for his first win since August 11th of last season when he beat the Oakland Athletics. Over his last 9 starts last year, 0-6, and he is winless this year. AT&T trivia question of the day. Let's see. Who is the Orioles' all-time leader in postseason hits? Boog Powell, Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson, or Paul Blair?
I'm going with Brooks.
I'm going with Boog.
I'm going with Frank.
Those are pretty good.
Joey's going with Paul Blair.
Wait, that's a pretty good selection group.
Yes, it is.
To choose from. I just only because postseason play. See, when Brooks was the MVP in the 70 World Series, the Orioles are going to put the reunion, the 40-year reunion is this year. Brooks was MVP in both the playoffs and the World Series. So I'm going with the Hall of Fame third baseman.
And how is Brooks' health, by the way? I was
much
out
better.
At the Scouts dinner, and he wasn't able to come out and get the award. Frank Robinson showed up.
Exactly. Yeah, Roy Firestone, I think
he introduced him.
Yeah. So not as good as the pinch hitter.
1-1 the count. And a good hack, and he fouls it back.
I saw Levon today. I said, come on, let's go play some racquetball, and his eyes lit up. I read where he really, there's conditioning things down in Miami.
Oh, he's a fabulous athlete, too. He does everything well, fielding, hitting, bunting, running the bases. He really works hard on every part of his game. So he might look like a big guy, but he's actually lost a few pounds this year.
Yeah, that's what all the reports that I got. And he laid off that breaking ball like he knew it was coming.
2-2 the count on him. Hernandez deals, and it's outside, ball 3.
Well, a lot of 3-2 counts, and eventually you're going to walk people. Eventually the pitch count's going to get up. Eventually you're going to lead the game, and eventually the bullpen's going to have to come in, and you hope that they pitch versus not going 3-2, being a little bit more, I guess, more direct with your pitching and trusting your stuff early on.
The 3-2 to Hernandez is pop foul again, first base side. Luke Scott runs out of room.
Ooh, you're looking good, Jim. I've looked at Brooks and I've looked at Frank, and Brooks has 14 more postseason hits than Frank Robinson.
I don't have computer access here, so I'll trust your judgment.
So now your pick, Jim, was Boog Powell.
Mine was Boog.
This will be the first time I ever got a question right, if this is the case. And only because I played with these guys.
And he gets him with a high fastball. So Levine Hernandez down on strikes. So 2 away in the Nationals' third. Well, let's get the answer to the AT&T trivia question of the night. Who is the Orioles' all-time leader in postseason hits? And the answer is Brooks.
There you go.
44 postseason hits. See, Cakes would never go against Brooks because he saved them so many earned runs.
Yeah, but Frank won me so many games. He was bad.
There you go.
2 outs, back to the top of the lineup. One-time Oriole prospect Willie Harris, who was drafted in 1999, the same draft that produced Brian Roberts, and actually did make his big league debut as an Oriole before he was traded to the White Sox.
And Jim, you were second. 33 hits for Boog Powell.
See, I don't mess with Boog because he is at the ballpark all the time, and he's big. You don't want to get him mad at you, although he's never mad. Tatum out to the mound on David Hernandez. Didn't like what he saw in that pitch.
Well, he just gets out of sorts. We saw that in his last game. He was almost perfect through 4 innings. Gave up 1 home run, and then all of a sudden maybe got a little tentative. And then the next inning walked a couple of guys after getting the first 2 outs. And he's trying to combat that and not do that tonight.
High fly ball to right field. Back on at Markakis, coming towards the corner. And he'll make the catch. So 3 up, 3 down, go to the Nats. We played 3 in this interleague game. Orioles with a 4-0 lead. Innings. Tatum 2 for 2 with a couple of RBIs. And guys, Adam Jones, something we haven't seen in a long time.
Well, here it is right here. What you said, 97 at bats. Last time he hit a home run. All back to 24th of April off of Ramirez up in Boston. And then here's another big hit.
Yeah, but Scott Olsen did not do a good job tonight, Jim, of pitching inside. And when you let any hitters get their arms extended, this happened to us last night against the Mets. Guys just started driving the ball the other way and killing us. And, you know, one thing that Scotty had been doing is pitching inside, throwing a hard slider inside, and you got to tie their arms up. And an American League team against a National League fastball changeup guy tonight without the slider, and he's out of the game quick.
And Miguel Batista in. Tell us about him.
Miguel Batista's done a lot of yeoman's work. He's come in, pitched a lot of long relief. He even got a save one night when Matt Capps had pitched about 3 days in a row. So he's done a lot of great stuff for this ball club. And being such a veteran, World Series ring, one of the things Mike Rizzo wanted to do is have guys that know how to win on this team. He's been very, very good for the young pitchers.
Corey Patterson is up and takes a strike.
Well, he got a vast array of pitch. We saw him in the American League for years, and he's done everything. And he's closed, 31?
Started. Right.
Yeah, started. Almost, probably about 40% of his appearances have been as a starter.
And Corey looks it over low, and there's a new aspect of Corey Patterson's approach. He says he is trying to be more patient. He's not totally there yet, but he's trying.
So Nick Markakis was commenting on that, saying that he's really much more patient than he was a couple of years ago.
Oof, that's a tough foul tip for Pudge.
And Corey Patterson was talking about being in this leadoff position since coming up to the Orioles, and he has an even bigger effect and respect for Brian Roberts as right in the middle of the chest protector and Pudge Rodriguez because of how difficult it is to work the count when you're used to going up there looking for a pitch to drive. And Brian Roberts, one of the best, not only at looking over pitches, but doesn't mind going 6, 7, 8 pitch at bats.
Well, and to me, you got to be patient. And the one thing that the Nationals have done to a lot of pitchers is make the pitch counts rise to 90, 100 pitches by the 5th inning. And I'm sure you've seen that over in the American League with the guys that are nibblers.
Yeah, but, 2 of the best, the Red Sox and the Yankees.
Make the guys that maybe have the lesser command work harder and get them out of the ballgame. And then, one thing that, once again, I talked about interviewing Don Sutton this morning on my radio show was he talked about he believes the same thing I believe. Why are you going to take out your starting pitcher sometimes and bring in the 5th guy out of the bullpen who might be your 10th or 11th best pitcher on your staff? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So the quicker you can get to that guy in the bullpen, the better in the major leagues.
1-2 is bounced to first. Adam Dunn gets a big hop and safe at first base as Corey Patterson hustled down the line.
Well, we were talking about last night in Texas. Ron Washington's got everybody running a 100-yard dash down the line. It's only 90 feet, excuse me. And, of course, Corey Patterson makes it like 60 feet because, I mean, it's just, you better get over there.
Well, no. I mean, the Cubs tried to have him as leadoff hitter for many, many years because he's one of the faster players in the major leagues, and that's just a straight foot race that he beats Batista to the bag.
Now, this is an effect that we'll see, Jim, if it has an effect on the other players on the Orioles.
Actually, he was out.
We did see in Texas.
Our Exmo shows that he was out. Batista's foot did hit the bag first.
All those runners in Texas doing the same thing. They're all sprinting.
I mean, that's a pretty routine play until you run hard.
Well, now he's dancing over there at first base. He does have 2 steals.
All right, let's see the Exmo right here, guys. You see Batista get over there. He beats Patterson. Now watch his foot, right? Boom.
Yep, you're right.
He gets him. So the great Exmo camera shot that we have here that we love.
Ty Wigginton up now. He takes high.
At night, about 500 frames per second. So the umpire doesn't have that advantage. We do. During the day, it's a little bit better, about 700, 800 frames per second.
And he had 2 different views there. A pitcher getting over there to get over there, and a hitter who became a runner sprinting down the line. 2 different speeds coming at him. Wigginton is 0 for 2 in the game. He has flied out and grounded out. And he takes inside 2-0.
Well, it's something you're taught in spring training and a lot of drilling, too, on pitchers into your head. Don't run straight to the bag. You want to make kind of a curve trail as you go down to first base, so you're kind of going parallel with the runner so there's no collision. You don't want to be injured trying to make that play, and it almost looked like Batista tried to cut off the distance because of the speed of Patterson, and it just made it look like it was an even race to the bag, and Patterson won.
The Orioles are 13th in the American League in steals. They pulled out of last place last night because Cesar's Torres stole 2 bases, but only 13 on the year. To put it in perspective, the Nationals have 29.
Yeah, thank goodness for the Red Sox. They're last. And, of course, Jacoby Ellsbury coming back tonight, so all of a sudden their base running will get better. He led the majors with 70 steals last year.
Wigginton takes a strike, 2-1 the count.
Of course, that's assuming he gets on, and he usually does. He hit 300 last year.
Well, and even after 20 seasons in the major leagues and over 2,400 games caught for Pudge Rodriguez, they still don't try to steal on him. He's still got a great arm.
Patterson at first, none down, 4th inning. And a 4-0 Oriole lead. Wigginton pops it up. Foul ground first base side. Adam Dunn there, Guzman there. And Adam Dunn reaches and can't make the play. So Wigginton has life. Let's head downstairs and visit with Debbie Taylor. Debbie.
The 3rd inning. After the 3rd inning, I saw Scott Olson go down the runway with the trainer Lee Combs, and now word from the Nationals clubhouse is that he left the game with tightness in his left shoulder. Jim?
All right, Debbie, thank you very much. So Livan Hernandez got the pinch hit and the bullpen in the game in the 4th inning.
So there was a reason he probably wasn't throwing the slider. It hurt.
David Hernandez missed his last start with shoulder discomfort last Sunday. Patterson is running, and the pitch is taken outside, and a stolen base for Patterson. He got a huge jump on Miguel Batista, and Ivan Rodriguez did not risk the throw.
Well, only 6 attempts coming into tonight against Pudge Rodriguez in 30 games, and right there he's upset because Batista just didn't focus on Patterson, slow to the plate, in the dirt, and Pudge didn't even offer a throw.
I mean, here's the guy. You mentioned 13th in stolen bases, number 3, but he just adds another dimension to this club if he gets on.
But he's just got to hit. He's got to have an on-base percentage.
Yeah, and walk and do the little things. Not a prototypical leadoff guy, but he could be hitting 9th. So you'd have back-to-back leadoff guys if Brian Roberts gets back in the next 15, 20, 30 days.
Ground ball towards second base. There's a great at-bat by Ty Wigginton as Guzman gets it to first. There's a team at-bat moving up the runner with 1 man down. Well, Tuesday, the Orioles are back home at Oriole Park. A 3-game series against the Oakland Athletics gets underway. You can start your Memorial Day weekend early with a great night out with your family and friends at Camden Yards. For your tickets, call the Orioles 888-848-BIRD or visit Orioles.com. Birds have Monday off after this interleague series.
And that is career stolen base for Patterson, 187, but a career on base percentage in the major leagues of 291. And that's terrible. So you can't be a leadoff hitter in the major leagues and have an under 300 on base percentage.
So the infield drawn in as Wigginton did his job. He advanced the runner. And Nick Markakis up now, 1 out of 2 on the night. And he fouls it back. Markakis probably sorry to see that Olson's out of the game because he's been hitting so well this year against lefties.
Yeah, but he'll take his chances because you don't have to get a hit with less than 2 outs. He's looking for a ball, and he just got it. There's something to get in the air.
And would you agree on leadoff guys? This might have been the worst thing to happen to Patterson. He hit 24 home runs one year with the Cubs. And he tried to start going up there and hacking and try to hit 30 home runs a year.
Fun to hit home runs.
Markakis sweeps through it, throw to third, and Patterson came too far off. Zimmerman runs him down to Pudge Rodriguez. Patterson running back towards third. And the flip and the slide, he is out. Shortstop tags him out. So there's Pudge Rodriguez. You always have to be alert because he is always looking. And 2 men down.
There's a couple looks here. Pudge Rodriguez, still one of the best catchers in the game. And he was looking to get even on that stolen base, only the 4th stolen base against Pudge all year. And so they pick off Patterson, and that's a huge base running mistake. A lot of times that can come back and cost you the ballgame, guys. But on that play, Jim, you don't want to run the guy towards home plate on that pickle.
No, but eventually they get it right. And then he runs him back and get the tag. But I thought that looked to me in a calculated pickoff play.
Guys, the Nationals visited Walter Reed Hospital today, and we have some of the Wounded Warriors are up here with us today. And it was a very special day. About 20 of the players went over there. So we're joined in the booth by some of the guys from Walter Reed. And so thanks for coming by. We appreciate it. What do you think of the view? Yeah, this is quite a view from up here. But, every game in the 3rd inning, we welcome a lot of these soldiers home. Being over in Iraq and Afghanistan as the fly ball goes out tonight to Roger Bernardino.
And the inning ends, so the Orioles send 3 batters up, cannot score, none left. Middle of the 4th, 4-0 lead for the Birds. Rob was talking about some of the wounded soldiers visiting us from Walter Reed Hospital, and it's always great to have the heroes that go into service for us so we can sit up here every night and talk about baseball. And pleasure to have you guys with us. Enjoy the game. And you got the Hall of Famer here. Get an autograph. Rob Dibble, get an autograph.
I know you're a huge Orioles fan, right? You can say it. It's okay. It's okay.
I got family that lives there.
Oh, okay.
Well, be nice for your family tonight. Root for the Orioles.
No, he's got his Nats shirt on.
Everybody signed it and everything.
Well, you got to get the Hall of Famer on there. You got a Sharpie?
Yeah, I signed it. But hey, thanks for everything you guys do for us.
Christian Guzman leads off against David Hernandez. Hernandez with a 4-0 lead. Rob and Jim were talking about the run support for David Hernandez, or actually lack of. Hernandez had the run support average of 1.46, which would be the worst in the league, except he didn't have enough innings to qualify because he missed the start. Kevin Millwood has that honor, 2.34, but once Hernandez gets to the 6th inning tonight, he'll pass Millwood. So you got the two guys. I don't think you start off the year aspiring to lead your league in lack of run support, but the Orioles about to have the top 2.
He's hoping to get to the 6th inning.
Well, he's been averaging just a little over 5 innings, but, the high walks,
there you go.
Run support, and you're trying to win ball games.
Another 3-ball count. Sooner or later, it comes to get you. They get to see more pitches. You're not, got what? 1 breaking ball over, 2 breaking balls tonight. Chased him and helped him out right there. I know he's been red hot, Christian.
But Lou Montañez is out in left field. But effectively wild, and we can explain that. He's thrown 95-mile-an-hour fastballs up in the zone, 92 down low, and they're having trouble hitting it. Sometimes that's the best way to get guys out.
There's a line drive deep to right field down the line. Markakis charging over, reaches up.
Just missed it.
Does not make the catch.
Just missed it. Hit the wall.
Oh, great effort by Nick Markakis.
Yeah, not a lot of foul ground here, guys. If you check this replay out and you see him come in, make a great effort, actually hit him in the arm.
Yeah, that's also, we have the rubberized warning track, so I certainly like the sender. Always been a. And then we got Corey Patterson, Adam Jones.
So Jones is out of the game. So Montañez is in left field. Patterson moves to center, and Jones done.
Yeah, I thought Corey might have hurt himself going back into third base, but not the case.
Well, we hope Adam's okay. Maybe he doesn't feel well after all that traveling and running around the bases.
Guzman fouls it back. Zimmerman on deck, then Adam Dunn against David Hernandez. Christian Guzman, 438 in May. And as happens to players who get hot or cold in a particular month, some love to see the turning of the calendar page and others hate it.
Well, Adam Dunn loves it. He has most of his he has his best month in May, most career home runs, which is in the 60s now. But it's strange, Jim, how all of a sudden guys get to a certain month and that's their comfort month. A lot of guys don't really like April. I remember Ryan Sandberg didn't like April. And look at who's on deck.
Well, there you go. And the amazing thing is that David Hernandez threw a 3-2 changeup to Guzman with a 4-0 lead. He's second one of the game. When you've been wild with the best hitters coming up.
And a 4-run lead. And you throw 95. Is it hard sometimes when, even if you have good stuff, and you know how we pitchers are kind of insecure anyway, to tell yourself that they can't hit my best pitch? Occasionally you're going to give up home runs to that 95-mile-an-hour.
Well, you want them to hit your best. You don't want to try to trick a guy with a 4-run.
Some guys, the first time they've ever been stung.
Oh, well, for a young pitcher, probably so.
And then they go away from it, and they try to avoid contact with the wood, and then they throw a lot of off-speed stuff. And they now they go down to the secondary pitches, which they don't have great command of.
Yeah, and then what happens, and we've seen it right here, is that you walk a guy that's been hot with your third best pitch, and now you're to a guy that, one of the best players in the National League with a home run guy behind him. And the Nationals are trying to get back into this game, and he's going to allow them to do it.
Well, and this is the one thing, how they've been able to get back in games, even down 10 runs, they were able to come back. We lost 11-7 in one game. We lost 10-7 last night. And came back and scored 7 innings, 7 runs, 5 late. So they're very good at taking pitches until they get some they can get back in the ballgame.
The one thing that I'm curious about, and you're talking about what's your best pitch, how do you attack hitters? One thing it seems to me is that young pitchers who get here believe that if they throw 3 or 4 pitches, that they have to use all 3 or 4 pitches.
Great point.
And the Orioles went through this with Alfredo Simon in the closer's role, a starter. Swing and a miss by Zimmerman, who was asked to become the closer, and he attacked the ninth inning as if he was setting hitters up. Well, 3 outs, the game's over.
Well, look at this right here. Now, you have one of the best hitters in the National League, 33 home runs last year, looking fastball, got a fastball, and still didn't do anything with it. So you need to convince David Hernandez, that is your number one pitch. Everything. It's like the sun.
And he should throw it 70% of the time.
Maybe more.
Maybe more.
Everything revolves around that pitch.
And 3-0 to 3-2. High fly ball center field. Corey Patterson broke back, now comes in. And he will have it for the out, and one away in the fourth. Let's head downstairs and visit with Amber.
Well, Jim, as we watch Corey Patterson catch that ball in center field, Adam Jones is out of the game because of leg cramps. We don't know if he's going to be able to return to the game or not, but the good news is that Corey Patterson's very comfortable in center field. That's his natural position, Jim.
All right, Amber, thank you very much. And one of the reasons that the Orioles signed Corey Patterson to get him back in the organization was, in fact, that versatility, because over the last couple of years, he's played all 3 outfield positions, and the Orioles really didn't have a veteran outfield presence who could come in and get in there and be respectable with the bat. So very good pickup by the Orioles, and as we mentioned, he took over the leadoff spot. So back in there in center field.
Yeah, the only question he's going to have is he's looking around to see where they want him to play. So they're going to communicate with him. I mean, Adam Jones, of course, pretty much the leader of the outfield, so he leaves. Markakis is Gold Glover and right. Should be.
Well, and one of the reasons that almost the entire Nationals team went over to Walter Reed today, it was a scheduled visit anyway, was Adam Dunn. He basically said to all the guys, listen, we're going over to Walter Reed. I want everybody there. Some other guys had commitments, but it was about 20-plus strong of the Nationals, and very blessed to be with the guys. They did a great job, raised a lot of spirits, and, some of the more wounded Warriors over there. Adam Dunn took his jersey off, gave it up, made all the other guys give their jerseys up.
Well, that's terrific.
So it is one of the blessings being here in Washington, is to try to do as much as we can at Bethesda and over at Walter Reed.
Shift is on against Adam Dunn, and the count to 2-1 with Guzman on at first. That ball's ripped foul.
Well, and
loud strike.
When Adam starts hitting the ball to left field, which he has been doing with regularity lately, had a double last night off the left field wall. He stung in the last 2 games a couple of balls, but with Jeff Francoeur right, stung one right off the right field wall, got a single. The next one, last night, he hit another rocket off the wall. Francoeur picked it up. He barely got into second base. So, Adam's been hitting the ball really well to all fields lately.
In the dirt, nice block by Tatum. Well, last year, Adam Dunn against David Hernandez. Dunn won the battle.
Yeah, I think he had a couple. This one's probably going to go to left center. No, this one's to right.
He wanted to visit Boog. Wow, that went on Utah Street.
Hey, if you're going to give one up, you might as well give one up big.
Yeah, he got a plaque for it. Utah Street.
Paul Bunyan hits it. It's going a long way. He's a big man.
3-2 pitch with Guzman at first. He doesn't run, and it's grounded foul.
Yeah, another 3-2 count.
Adam's got a big heart. He's one of the best guys on this team, keeping everybody loose.
Willingham on X.
Remember the movie My Bodyguard?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want Adam Dunn to be.
Your bodyguard?
Yes. He's big enough. He can do anything he wants. Just hang
I didn't think it was necessary for you to recruit him just before he played a game
I'll tell you what,
on the field.
The guy on deck is a hammer, too. He's a knot. This kid from Alabama coming up, Willingham. You want this guy to be your bodyguard, too.
So Hernandez on the 3-2 pitch. Deals ball 4 to Adam Dunn.
Same thing with Olsen. And Adam Dunn, a guy that's pretty much close to a career on-base percentage of 400, has a great eye. And when you're erratic, you're not going to get the tight calls. And that looked like a strike. It looked like a good pitch.
I mean, it looks like Mike Estabrook has somewhat of a tiny zone. So, again, you got to hit the glove. I mean, but again, how often can you go 3-2 and not walk people, especially when you have disciplined hitters at the plate? And that's what Dunn is, and will continue to be.
Guzman at second, Dunn at first, 1 down. Nats trying to get on the board. Still do not have a hit. All 3 base runners on walks. And Josh Willingham up now.
Well, David Hernandez still has a no-hitter card.
And there's a strike, 0-1.
Wow, I can't believe both of you guys said that. I'm not going to say anything.
Well,
Jim and I are of the mindset that we have little to do with what happens when it leaves the pitcher's hand.
Well, first of all, you're right. I mean, that's exactly right. 72 pitches already.
Popped them up. Is Torres and Tejada. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Cesar. Infield fly rule was called, and 2 men down, so a big out for David Hernandez. And let's get a look at the upcoming schedule for the Orioles. Tomorrow, day game here, 4:05 against the Nats, and an afternoon game on Sunday. Monday off, then the Athletics in town, back home at Camden Yards. Night games on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
I'm only kidding you guys, because when Scott Olson had a no-hitter into the 7th inning, I was almost threatening them in the truck, because they were going to do stories on, at about the 6th inning, they started taking every out. They took the balls out, and they put them under that thing for the hologram, and they started registering it because it was a no-hitter. And I said, you're not going to do a story on the no-hitter. You're going to wait until he either loses it or he gets it.
Now, that I can understand. But
see, I'm trying to
play-by-play man with my analyst, and tonight 2 very qualified analysts. If we don't inform the viewer what's going on, let's say the guy just came home from work. All he sees is the score in the inning.
And I'm rough on Bob, too. I'm very rough on Bob.
Bring it on, Dibble.
I'm very superstitious.
Well, but see, this is what I was looking at. I'm looking out at the center field scoreboard where they have the pitch count.
And you see 75. I
see 75, so I doubled that. That's 150. And we're only to the 8th inning. And we're only 8th inning, so he's going to have to throw 175 pitches at this pace.
He can't get a 5-pitch inning, get 3 outs, 3 ground balls.
Foul back. Now, you know what's going to happen here. Pudge is going to get a hit. It's going to be all our fault.
No, it is not. But let me ask you this, though. Dave Tremblay, the guy's got a no-hitter in the 6th or 7th inning. He's got 110, 120 pitches. Gone. You got to pull him?
Yes. It's the way they do things.
Wow.
Now,
if it's Kevin Millwood, it'd be a different story.
Right.
Well, Millwood doesn't.
Veteran presence.
He doesn't leave.
And you're not taking the ball.
There's the 1-2, and just off the plate, there's another close pitch that Hernandez does not get the call. On deck is Roger Bernardina. David Hernandez, 16 consecutive starts without a win, 11 losses and 5 no decisions. And not all of that his fault. He has a 4-0 lead here, but laboring somewhat in the 4th inning. 2-2 to Rodriguez. High fly ball, right field. Easy play for Nick Markakis, so Hernandez will get out of it, and I'm safe for an inning. 2 walks and 2 left. We'll head to the 5th. 4-0 O's. Acura Advance by Suzuki and the amazing new Kazashi Sports Sedan, and by Range Rover, the luxury that's more than a luxury. Lovely night here at Nationals Park on this Friday evening, Interleague Baseball, and fans having a nice time. Hello, how are you? Nice to see you. Enjoying baseball, and here is Miguel Tejada. Luke Scott, Lou Montañez will follow against Miguel Batista on the relief of Scott Olson, who left with a tight shoulder. Miguel infield hit his last at-bat. You know, he'll be bragging about that. Extends his modest hitting streak to 3 in a row.
Well, what was the weather like down in Texas? I mean, Adam,
It was hot.
It was hot, so he could be dehydrated.
Yeah, oh, there's no doubt about it. It was 89, and then yesterday hot. It got a little bit cooler when the front came through.
Yeah, after the tornado.
Yeah, whatever.
It was just north of Dallas.
And then he was out running early today, doing all kinds of drills. It was 91, at least 91.
Tejada slicing it down the right field line. That ball fades foul.
Well, now I kind of feel partly responsible because I did an interview on the field with he and Niger Morgan that we're going to see tomorrow, and it was smoking hot.
Yeah.
And, you know how in television we have the lights and everything. I was sweating bullets. Everybody was like kind of laughing at me, but he had like the black top on and he was all Orioled out, and now I feel bad that he might be dehydrated.
Now, what time was that?
That was about 3 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
And Pudge was out here running, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Pudge, we haven't really talked about him. 20 years in the major leagues. He still wants to catch another 5 years, and he's serious. Has a personal trainer that goes everywhere with him, and he works like Carlton Fisk did, Nolan Ryan. And I'm sure, Jim, when you tried to come back, I mean, you've kept yourself in great shape all these years, but that's his belief, that if he can keep himself physically fit, he can keep playing.
Well, I asked him today, I said, do you feel 38? And he said, no. He said, actually, I don't. And what's your routine? He said, well, if we're in the postseason, then I take November off. If not, you take October off, and then you start training.
Now, there's a story as Miguel Tejada walks for only the 6th time this year. Only Adam Jones, who has walked 4 times, is less of a patient. Geico President's Race. This is what we look forward to here, Cakes. Who's going to win? Come on, Teddy. No. Teddy's never won. Hey, wait a minute. Who's that guy in there?
The Oriole.
Look at the bird. What is he doing? Teddy was in the lead.
Teddy's never won a race.
Well, if the bird keeps tackling him.
No, in the history of this ballpark.
Is that right?
Yes.
Never?
Yes. So Teddy almost had the win there. We're thinking that maybe, and Bob made this call, he said that when Strasburg makes his first start in a Nationals uniform, that Teddy may win a race. In the history of the team, Teddy's never won a race. So that goes back to RFK.
A guy we're going to have to talk to is Scott Moore, who just got called up today because he played for Norfolk in that game, the no-hit innings, 6 no-hit innings that Strasburg had against Norfolk.
Oh, he's happy to get out of AAA as long as Strasburg's there.
The red-hot Luke Scott is up now. Right now he is in another league. There's a bouncer towards the hole. Guzman will go towards second base and in time to get the lead runner. Nicely done by Christian Guzman, 1 down.
That's an even better play because he's a natural shortstop that this year has, at the end of his career, converted to second base, and he's been getting better and better with more reps at second base, and he takes the lead runner out there, Miguel Tejada, and our own Ian Desmond, he's a rookie, great-looking rookie shortstop, loves to stay in there like a quarterback throwing a pass. He will stay at second base and take a hit. Not always wise, though.
Lou Montañez is batting now for the first time. He's in Adam Jones' spot, who left with leg cramps, and it's funny how things work out. Lou Montañez got in the game last night. He got a start at DH. He had not been in a game since May the 5th. And Jim and I were talking about, not a bad night. Get him in, interleague game, maybe pinch hit, late switch, and he ended up getting a couple of hits, and here he is in the game because of an injury.
Yeah, they moved Luke Scott from DH to first base to anticipation of this series.
Deflected by Batista. Tough play. Desmond will not have a play, and that'll be an infield hit. So Batista, because he couldn't glove it, made it more difficult for a shortstop, and Lou Montañez is on, so the Orioles have 2 men on.
Well, you end up 50-some feet from right here, and when you jam a guy like that, one of your middle infielders is going to catch it, so you better know that you can catch it, otherwise it's going to be exactly what this is. Little jam shot. That's probably a double play. Yeah.
Took a double play away from the team by making contact. But you and I both know as former pitchers that, it's kind of your first reaction. It's almost like to go for the ball and then to kind of pull back. It's not an easy thing to do.
And here is the suddenly you can't get him out Craig Tatum, who has hits in his last 3 at-bats. And why is that a story? Well, he only has 6 hits on the year. That's how often Matt Wieters catches.
Well, we talked about it last night. He came in, and Wieters, after fouling the ball off his knee, the score that time, I think, was 13-something. Warriors would come back and get some runs to make it 13-7. But he's got to use the whole field. So, again, it looks just like he's got a little rhythm to his swing when we talk about Craig Tatum. So, hitting balls all over. Matt Wieters right there with the hat. He'll most likely play tomorrow. Amber saying he did have the x-rays. They were negative. Bruised knee.
1-0 on Tatum with 2 on and 1 out.
That's the problem with being a switch hitter. You could actually, he fouled the ball hitting left-handed off his right knee, but he could do it off his left knee too.
Yeah. So he could bruise both knees.
He could hurt both knees.
Pretty much catchers are the toughest guys on the field. They take a beating back there.
4 home runs, 13 RBIs for Wieters.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Tatum to left field. Line drive caught by Willingham. Throw back towards second base, but Luke Scott retreats. So even the out was hit hard as Tatum is retired and 2 away. We'll join the Orioles and, of course, Jim Palmer with the University of Maryland Medical Center and the American Red Cross. It's the Baltimore Orioles blood drive. It is tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It'll be at the club level at Camden Yards. Donors will get the chance to meet Jim Palmer, plus receive a replica Jim Palmer jersey with number 22 on it, 2 tickets to an upcoming game, and even the chance to win a VIP experience with the Hall of Famer.
Well, it's actually in the Masson broadcast.
Appointments are required, so call 1-800-GIVE-LIFE.
That was too wordy, so they cut off some of the sentence.
And Jim has promised, Rob, that he will bring you, me, and Bob Carpenter replica Jim Palmer jerseys tomorrow.
That would be fantastic. This is no BS.
Well, I don't know if they
before the game
triple XL for you, but
I should have our equipment manager talk to your equipment manager, have a Palmer jersey made, and get you to sign one. Not for me. My brother's always been a big Orioles fan.
There you go.
No, it would be for me.
We'll get it done.
I'm lying.
Do you have a
we'll
brother?
see.
Yeah, 2 brothers.
Okay. Hey,
Yes,
you know,
I have 2
my
brothers, 2
nephew
older
back
brothers.
in New Jersey, do you have a net? Well, no, but really.
No, it's for me.
Meantime, here's Cesar Estouras up, count of 0-2 as Batista looks to get out of it.
Well, how are they getting a 5-point ERA off of Miguel Batista? Still can run it up there to 93 with good movement. We've just seen about 2 of the better breaking balls we've seen all night long.
He's had some rough innings. I mean, because he's pitching about once a week.
Yeah, well, that's tough. Tough to do at 25, let alone when you're almost 40 years old.
And it gets away from Pudge Rodriguez. That will advance both runners.
Well, that'll get.
But Miguel's trying to pitch inside.
That's going to get Hernandez to the plate, I would imagine. Or maybe not. What do they do here in the National League?
So that'll be a wild pitch. Well, he's 1-2 in the count. I would think he'd go after him.
Watch the replay, guys. It goes right between the umpire's legs. And we saw in the Brewers game yesterday, the ball, Greg Zahn missed it, and it hit John Hirschbeck in the mask and gave him a concussion. So here it is. It looks like a 4-seam fastball that cuts, goes right off the shin guard of the home plate umpire.
I think he read the sign wrong.
Well, it was a little inside.
So Mike Eastbrook probably has those big shin guards underneath the pants.
If he can get Estouras out, that would mean David Hernandez would have to lead off the next inning, which is a big advantage.
Yeah, that's also a big if. If he doesn't get him out, well, I mean, no, it's going to be 6-0.
Well, now
they're going to let him hit now.
Yeah, I just don't think it's great, and I'm sure Miguel Batista thinks he can get him out, but it's just a non-percentage play, especially when you've watched David hit the first 2 times. I mean, there's no reason to take that chance.
The Oriole pitchers coming into this series, Hernandez, Bergeson, and Kevin Millwood, were most excited about getting a chance to get up there and bat. Bergeson last year had a hit against the Nationals, and Kevin Millwood, a former National League guy, he didn't even realize that. Talking to him back home, he had the last game of the homestand. He'll get the last game of the trip, and he goes, wait a minute. Nats Park, I get to hit. But Guthrie enjoys hitting. There's Kevin Millwood right there.
Yeah, Guthrie said he can't hit.
Well, he enjoys it.
He enjoys it, but he can't hit.
David Hernandez gets his bat on the ball, breaks the bat. Miguel Batista will get it to first, so he gets out of it, and the Orioles leave 3 more on. Mid-5th in this interleague game, and a 4-0 Orioles lead. Joining us on Masson time now for the Cabot Woodstain legendary performance. And we go back to September the 6th, 1996, as Eddie Murray hit his 500th career home run while Felipe Lira of the Tigers, the 5th player and only the 2nd switch hitter to hit 500.
Eddie Murray. He could hit, flat out hit.
What kind of teammate was he?
Really good. You know, very quiet. Wasn't real comfortable with the press. But he could play. And to be honest, when I first saw him, he was a natural right-handed hitter. And he may have been the worst batting practice hitter in the history of the game. We used to have Littlefield down in Miami where we did our drills. And we'd have to have a guy looking out because he hit these little Scud missiles there. I mean, just little, off the end of the bat. And then the game would start. And the bat would get real quick. He used about a 35-ounce bat. And he could hit. And he turned himself into a really good first baseman. There's David Hernandez. A lot of pitches, though.
There was a 0 on one of those columns.
Yeah. Well, he hadn't given up a hit. And I mean, Rob's made a tremendous point. He's been effectively wild.
Yes.
You can't look in any one area because he hasn't been able to command it there, at least to this point.
But when he has to make a pitch, he has made pitches, and he's done a nice job. Throwing 95 miles an hour still.
There's a good changeup. Oh, yeah. Well, he's tried to work it. He's probably thrown more changeups than I've seen him throw all year.
Maybe his arm's tired enough at 80 pitches to have a good changeup now.
Lower third of the Nationals lineup in this 5th inning. And missing low is Hernandez. Bernardino flied out his first at-bat.
To get back to Eddie Murray, one of the scariest moments I ever had on the baseball field was against an at-bat of Eddie Murray. Threw him an outside fastball. He hit it so hard right at head level. I still to this day don't know how I caught it.
Oh, you caught it?
Oh, I caught it. And the way I finished up, I was falling off the mound. My back was turned to the plate. So by the grace of God, I go. And the ball's right at my face. And I don't know how I caught it.
1-2 is over but low. 2-2 on Bernardino.
But I'm sure you had a lot of balls hit back up the middle when you threw hard away, and they tried to pull it, and they pull it right at you.
Reggie
did not like that at all.
Playoffs.
Did not like that at all.
And Hernandez gets him. Foul tip held by Tatum. And there is strikeout number 3. 1 away in the 5th inning.
Pretty efficient right there. He threw him 2 changeups, 2 curveballs, and then a high heater.
Yep, and it's going to be a strange 83 pitches now as we're getting closer to the end of the 5th inning. There's no way he's going to be able to finish 9 innings with this no-hitter, but H.H. Gregg showing nice balance. You don't get to throw 95 unless you have some kind of good mechanics. A little bit behind on that front leg, but straight up and down. And
well, that's what he does it, and a lot of it has to do is
that recoil.
That left foot opens so much that he doesn't get over the front knee.
He shouldn't be landing on the heel.
No.
You don't spin on the heel, you spin on the ball.
Bounce towards the hole. Tejada gloves. He'll spin and fire and down. As Desmond was going down the line, and that's how Miguel's been playing third base.
Still got a great arm.
Well, yeah, he throws about his. I look at third baseman. Sal Bando could really throw over there. How about Aurelio Rodriguez? And then right here, little tap.
And he tapped his glove twice.
Well, it's funny, when I came up, Aparicio, Hall of Fame shortstop, he'd look at almost looked like he was looking at the president's name on the ball. Right here, this is about balance. And then he's got a rifle.
Oh, absolutely.
He has become a catch and throw third baseman, to use that catching term, because he's still learning the angles at third base after being at shortstop all those years. But because he has that strong arm, all he's got to do is catch the ball and he gets them out.
Well, and the shortstop's pretty much the best athlete on the field. And even Alex Rodriguez with the Yankees was able to go from MVP at short to MVP at third. He's a heck of a third baseman. And so, not that I don't think he can make the transition, but Cal Ripken Jr. did it.
Oh, yeah.
He did it very well.
Ball bounced towards the middle, and there's the first base hit of the game.
Miguel Batista.
And it's the pitcher. And the Nationals fans enjoy that. So it comes after 4 2/3, and it's the opposing pitcher who gets the base hit.
We talked about the danger of a pitcher with a wood bat in his hand. Miguel Batista, good athlete all these years. Was a starter at one time in the National League, especially with the Arizona Diamondbacks, where he got his world championship ring. And
got a pretty good idea from that camera angle. Pretty quick infield here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, a lot of balls that are hit hard enough can actually hit the dirt, go over the grass, and hit the dirt again and go in the outfield.
And it gets Willie Harris to the plate instead of leading off the next inning. I actually like that. I don't know that I wanted to give up
the hit,
but I didn't like leadoff guys leading off because that's why they were leading off in the first place.
Hernandez slipped and he got a strike. Looked like his cleat got caught in the rubber.
But he actually has some of his best stuff this inning.
Well, I think he's probably pitching
curveball. He's kind of fallen off the mound, but his arm's still in position to let it go.
It was actually his front foot.
Yeah, he caught his front foot.
You know what?
Well, that's kind of deceptive, wouldn't you say, Rob? I mean, that's part of pitching. A little deception in your windup trip.
Line to center field. Coming in as Patterson makes the running catch and hauls it in for the out. So the first hit of the game for the Nats, a man left. We're through 5, 4-0 Birds. Washington, the Nationals, and a big defensive play as the Nationals trying to keep this as is.
Well, you don't get a no-hitter without some great defense, and doing more on defense on the Nationals side. Pudge Rodriguez after the stolen base to Patterson on third. Patterson getting a little bit too much of a lead, and he is pegged by one future Hall of Famer, Ivan Pudge Rodriguez.
And the umpire's now out of the mound. Mike Estabrook, after that inning ended, went out and looked at that landing spot where David Hernandez nearly tripped. And before Miguel Batista even got to the mound, all the umpires came over. Jerry Lane is the crew chief. That's Jerry Lane right there peering down. And they're going to do something here with these toe holes.
Well, they're just going to put the clay in.
It's not the first time this mound has done this. During the no-hitter that Scott Olson took into the 8th inning, in the middle of the game, they started working on the mound.
Well, but see, you made a good point. Where they're going to repair it is exactly where
the toe hole,
where
by the rubber.
Hernandez stands way on that side of the rubber, so he's almost off the rubber, except for the ball of his foot.
Wow, that's a great camera shot right there.
What is in the bottle there? Fertilizer?
I think that's just water. I think you moisten it up. He looks like he's whipping up the clay in there.
I hope Nicole Sherry's watching and she could fill us in on.
Well, actually, we've never seen this at Camden Yards, to be honest.
You're right.
So what are you guys trying to say? Are you picking a fight between the grounds crews?
No, I'm not. I've watched the Battle of the Bellways.
That's exactly. See, this is a rivalry. The grounds crew's going to start it. It's going to kind of build.
But you know, the Oriole Bird already tackled Teddy, so it's already game on.
When we do our post games, and I'm sure you do the same thing here, you can hear them tamping.
Oh yeah,
I mean pounding the clay, not only with the pitcher but also in the batter's box where guys get their toe hold.
Here's the Orioles in-game box score as the Birds have had runners on base in every inning.
Well, the big hits tonight was you can see Montanez, but that was Adam Jones. He hit his first home run in 97 at bats. That was the first 2 runs, and then
this guy right there, your backup catcher, 2 for 3 with 2 singles and 2 ribbies. that hurts at the bottom of the order.
Well, we invite the Oriole fans to join Brad Bergeson, Kevin Millwood, and Luke Scott. It's the second annual Orioles Cook-Off. It comes your way at Baltimore's ESPN Zone on Wednesday, 11:30 until 1. Fans who donate $5 or 3 canned goods to the Maryland Food Bank will receive an autographed player card. Now, come see which Oriole has what it takes to win. And here are the entrees. Bergeson's Simple Salmon, Kevin Millwood's Chicken Enchiladas, or Luke Scott's Surf and Turf. For more details, get on the website OriolesReach.com.
Well, Bob Carpenter said that he was going to Luke Scott. I don't know why.
Surf and Turf?
Well, I guess just because he can cook. I'm going with Millwood because he's older.
Which one of you guys is the barbecue guy?
Me?
Do you handle the grill?
Yeah.
You do?
Yes.
Jim, Hunter?
Yeah, but, just steaks and chicken, I'm pretty modest.
He has people.
No. I'll tell you what, though, I'll make you some eggplant parmesan.
I would love that. My
I
wife's
keep
Italian.
offering Palmer, but he says it's too far.
Well, let's break down David Hernandez, Jim.
Well, he's having a pretty good game. There's a high breaking ball to Ivan Rodriguez, one of the first ones he threw over. But tonight, a lot of high heat. And there it is right there after four breaking pitches to get to that point. So he's really picked his pitches pretty well.
Manager Dave Tremblay looking on. Of course, when you're playing well and you have a lead and your pitcher's doing well, the last thing you want is a delay. Of course, this is something unforeseen, and give the umpire some credit there for noticing something on David Hernandez, because when he had his spike get caught in that hole, what you don't want is a player to be injured.
Right. Well, and it was kind of annoying to me at the time when Tim Hudson did this, when the Braves were being no-hit by Scott Olson. But after the game, Scott Olson was actually very magnanimous about it. He said, listen, it was bad for me too. Even though I'm throwing a no-hitter, it was really bad for me. I needed them to fix it, and actually Tim Hudson got him to fix it, and he said that wasn't the reason he lost the no-hitter.
So what is your opinion of the interleague baseball? Has it lost its luster for you, or do you still look forward to it?
I almost think just the rivalry matchups that you have that have been around for a while, whether it's New York, Chicago, LA, some of those. But I mean, you've got a lot of odd ones right now. I mean, San Diego is up in Seattle. You've got, the Cubs are playing the Texas Rangers. I mean, you can't invent some rivalries. Now, we're close enough geographically to where I think this could be a very nice rivalry. So you just keep scheduling those games, but other than that, maybe you just stay with the straight schedule.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking forward to going out to do the Giant games, and then we go to the Padres, who are one of the surprise clubs in the National League West. And I enjoy this because, just having a chance when we were on the field getting ready to do, we had to go to the field. You got to be up here. But anyway, so we were talking.
Baltimore when I go to the field.
We're sending you out to the bullpen.
We would never do that to you. But talking to Jim Riggleman, he's a baseball guy. He's managed this is what 15 he's managed in the major. He's a baseball guy, so he's got a chance to, you get to see him. And we're only 45 miles away,
right?
So you got to pay attention to the Nationals, and you wish them well. He's going to do a great job as a manager, and this is a growing franchise. So, I hope that both of these teams, we're trying to rebuild. The Nationals are certainly trying to do that, and all of a sudden the teams are going to, as we mentioned in the open, they're going to be better, and then you'll move on from there.
And while we have a minute, let's welcome back Amber.
Well, Jim, as we get to the later innings, Dave Tremblay's going to have to make a decision whether or not to keep his pitcher in the game. And those are the decisions Dave likes to make in the National League. Remember, he was a minor league manager in the National League, and he said he feels like National League play is more pure to baseball form. He said mainly because it asks the pitchers to have more baseball skills, as Rob Dibble was talking about, things like running the bases. And he said he always admired the Braves pitchers like Smoltz and Maddox, who were able to take pride in those types of things because they didn't want to give their manager a reason to take them out of the game. That was part of the job of a National League pitcher. Jim?
Well, Amber, that's a real good point within this series. However, what you said earlier, Rob, I totally agree with. It's only 9 games out of the year in a schedule of 162.
And I think the franchise and the organizations that have so much money invested in these young men, you don't want to lose a guy to injury in the interleague play when they're doing something that's not normal for them. And so that's why, just carry the DH throughout the interleague play. That's fine. I have no problem with that because there's a lot of guys making a lot of money that are not two-way players that would love to have the DH in the interleague play in the National League.
Corey Patterson lifts it to right field. Coming in on the ball, Willie Harris. And has it for the out, one away. Patterson is 1 out of 4. It does have a 5-game hitting streak.
Like, say, the Red Sox. David Ortiz, I don't know if you're going to play him on defense. And I've talked to Terry Francona about this. He misses all those at-bats and gets rusty during interleague play because he can't throw them out there in the field.
If you take it back even to the hot stove season, when general managers are trying to figure out who do we get on this roster to help us, every team in the American League looks at that DH spot and says, where can we get a thumper? We don't care if he does anything else because every team has it. Jim was talking earlier about the Red Sox, what they throw at you, the Yankees, what they throw at you, what Tampa Bay throws at you. They have guys that can go in there and hit those home runs. Every team in this league is built around that guy. Now, the Orioles have Luke Scott, who really has done a good job as of late. To keep him in the lineup, he's got to get a glove, so it makes him maybe less of a player than he was yesterday when all he had to do was hit.
Well, and I just think that, Jim, you hit before the DH. And did you feel that when the DH came out, did it help your game?
Oh, yeah.
Or was it, having a guy that could hit 25 home runs, did that help you gain some wins by getting more runs?
Well, it did, and then I never had to leave a game in the late innings because they weren't going to pinch hit for it.
Wigginton pops it up. Guzman and Dunn. Guzman takes charge. 2 down in the Orioles' 6th.
When you pitch in the National League, and most pitchers will tell you, not that it's easy, because it's tough to pitch at the big league level, but it's less difficult than pitching in the American League. The DH makes a big difference. But again, you get to pitch longer. They don't pinch hit for you if you're in a tie ball game. You see that all the time. I agree with what Jim said. Is Dave Drumley can talk all he wants about Smoltz and Maddox and all the great hitting pitchers and bunting pitchers in the National League. But in the American League, when you get into interleague, he wants his guys not to get hurt. If they can, bunt the guy over and then just get on with the games.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, when Chen-Ming Wong got hurt, he was in his prime.
He was winning 18 games a year for the Yankees.
19. Back-to-back 19-win seasons. And he goes down and hurts his ankle, hurt his shoulder. Now his shoulder's been repaired. He's got wires holding his shoulder together, things like that. I mean, it's awful for me to think about that it was the interleague that maybe hindered this guy's career, maybe even ended this guy's career.
See, it's one thing as Nick Markakis takes a pitch outside to bring a player in, and one of the reasons Scott Moore was called up today is the Orioles feel that he is a versatile player. He can play second, short, and third, left-handed bat. He can even play first base if he needs to. It's one thing to say, well, let's get a couple of versatile guys up there. It's quite another to say, like we have David Ortiz, there's our thumper. He's going to bat third or fifth or sixth every day and just go up there and hit.
And it's not easy to get rid of David Ortiz. He's making $14, $15 million a year. So when he doesn't hit in the month of April, boy, did he take a lot of hits, and you couldn't replace him.
2-1 on Markakis, 2 outs, none on. Glad you can join us tonight on Masson as Markakis fouls it off Pudge Rodriguez. But I will say, Jim and I always enjoy these 6 games where we get to mingle with you guys and bring the family together. And I feel badly I didn't bring you spaghetti. Now, I'm going to have to do that when you come to Baltimore.
Okay. I will take you up on that. I love that. My wife is back in L.A., so I don't get enough Italian cooking.
All right.
And she worries because I'm always running around trying to get different meals, fast food and stuff.
Ooh, don't do that. Nicely stabbed by Miguel Batista, takes a base hit away from Markakis, and for the first time tonight, the Orioles go 3 up, 3 down. 4-0 O's in the 6th. West, Interleague Baseball on Masson. David Hernandez pitches to Guzman. Bouncer to first. Luke Scott runs to the bag unassisted. And on 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 6th inning. And thanks so much for joining us as our Masson families come together for these Interleague games. Jim Hunter with Bob Carpenter, Rob Dibble, Jim Palmer, Debbie Taylor, and Amber Theo Harris in the Nationals box score.
Willie Harris, Ofer. Got a couple of guys with the Ofers, and then the one hit, Miguel Batista down at the bottom, pitching great in relief, Jim, and he's got the only Nationals hit.
Yeah, and then you got Levon Hernandez that swung the bat rail but ended up striking out.
Yep.
Here is Ryan Zimmerman against David Hernandez.
See, I never pinch hit, but I used to pinch run.
What kind of hitter were you?
I think I hit.
I heard in the lunchroom you had 3 home runs.
Well, I did. I won my first game in relief. Hit a home run off Jim Bouton. Hit a home run off Dave Moorhead, who had pitched a no-hitter, and they sent him out the next day, right back to the minor leagues. I took him deep almost into the turnpike in Boston.
Boy, can he turn on a pitch.
Who was the other home run?
And then a guy out of Stanford, Steve Dunning, hard throwing right-hander, bonus kid.
How would you like to go 0 for 4 years? I was 0 for 20 my first 4 years with the Reds.
Did you ever get a hit?
I got a hit off of Jeremy Hernandez my 5th season, and the next day they sent him down. I felt bad. I'm like, okay, maybe I should have not got that hit. But
who was the better hitter, you, Myers, or Charlton?
I would have to say Norm was the starter. I mean, he started for a few years, but in batting practice, me definitely. Without a doubt, I could poke it out.
I didn't realize relief pitchers.
That's 5 o'clock. Oh, we hit every day.
Really?
That's part of the whole National League.
The whole National League deal. No, you're out there.
So in case you might need to bunt.
Yeah, well, I wasn't very good at that either.
That's part of the dialogue, the camaraderie.
Here's the 1-2 pitch just inside.
Can you imagine? I mean, my first year in the big leagues, and I get called up. I got to face Nolan Ryan to try to lay down a sac bunt. I haven't picked up a bat in like 4 years. In the minor leagues, they DH'd. They never let the relief guys really hit. And so now I'm up there against Nolan Ryan, and he struck out 13 guys. Actually, it was like a reaction that it was coming at me. It really wasn't, and I laid it down. But it wasn't a lot of fun. I would say I'm a proponent of the DH just because you're paying someone to be a professional hitter as opposed to a pitcher trying to kind of, I guess, pose as a hitter sometimes.
Jim was talking to Nolan Ryan last night. We should have asked him about that first encounter with Rob Dibble.
He wouldn't remember it.
Zimmerman pops it foul. 1 out, none on.
Well, that pitch count now at 97.
His longest outing of the year, 6 1/3. So far, he's through 5 1/3 tonight. And in that game, he threw 104 pitches. His season high was in his last start, a start in which he lost and lasted just 5 2/3.
Yeah, he got 7 innings. I mean, that's the most he pitched last year in a year starting. And there's your. And that walk, to me, is all about trying to get Ryan Zimmerman out with a 2-2 breaking ball when you have a 4-run lead and you know who's on deck and who's on deck behind him.
I've said it all year, and I know probably the viewers that have heard it are nauseated by it, but a lot of our pitchers on the Nationals do not pitch along with the game. You have a 4-run lead, and you're still trying to use and throw every one of your pitches. Whether or not your breaking ball or your changeup, you can locate it for a strike. You're still trying to do that. You're not actually playing the game. Well, you're not trying to win this game. You're up 4-0, and they have 1 hit off you.
And that's why Matt Albers is getting loose. I mean, this is actually when, if you want to pitch late into the ball game, is when you have to start pitching. And that means to command your stuff, and that's fastball command, and that's your number 1 pitch. But I still think, and again, we talked to Bob Carpenter saying he's only 25 when we talk about David Hernandez. He's better this year than he was last year. And that's what you're trying to do when you're young. I mean, it's only his 2nd year, in fairness to him.
Well, you want to evolve.
Yeah.
I mean, and we were just up in Colorado, and one of their young guys, Chacin, one of the Venezuelans that they've signed, 22 years old. But he's got 500 minor league innings and 85 starts. And that's a lot like Jimenez. When he was down in the minor leagues, they signed him at 17. Put in a ton of work in the minor leagues, over 500 innings. And in today's standards, that's a lot. But the Rockies believe that helps their pitchers a little more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's traditionally. And David Hernandez is one of those guys. 3 straight years in the minor leagues. The good news for him was that he got about 146, 148 innings. The only arm problem he's ever had is his last start, where he had a little tightness, and they backed him off 1 start. You ever miss a game because of arm problems? No, but I did have a cold. That was it.
2-1 on Adam Dunn, and it's high ball 3.
Well, I don't let him go very far because, you know, and of course in the National League, this American League, if you bring somebody in, you don't have to double switch and so on and so on. But I tell you, when you've given up 1 hit in 103 pitches, and you've been all over the place, which has been the case tonight, you don't want to. Adam helps him out, swinging at ball 4. In fact, he's done that twice.
But we don't mind, actually. Adam is a very patient hitter, takes a lot of walks, and when you're down, you only have 1 hit. You wouldn't mind him just trying to hit this ball out of the stadium to make it a 4-2 game.
Well, full count now with Zimmerman at first and 1 down. As Hernandez battles Adam Dunn. Here's the payoff pitch, and it's high ball 4.
He looked like he was letting up to try to even throw it over the plate.
Well, notice where he landed.
Yeah.
He just kind of does a spin.
And we have an email question for Rob Dibble. Who has been the biggest surprise on the Orioles and the Nats this season? I guess it's for both you guys.
I got to defer to the expert on the Orioles next to me.
Well, Wigington,
on that one.
Wigington, and only because last year, he hit 9 home runs. This year, he's got more than that, and Dave Tremblay kind of taking his time. And for the Nats?
I would say Roger Bernardino. He's coming off a broken ankle. He's shown at times glimpses of what he could be, and he really doesn't have a lot of time as far as being a baseball player, so I think Roger Bernardino would be my surprise.
So Dave Tremblay thought about it, stood on the top step of the dugout, and now comes out. He has not yet made the signal. This is a new way of removing pitchers for Dave. He has been going to the mound. In fact, a couple of times over the last week, he's gone to the mound, talked to the pitcher, and left him in. So we'll see what he does here as he talks to David Hernandez.
Well, and Jim Riggleman has done this year, and I like it. It's saying, listen, it's your game. I want you to be able to at least finish this inning. And I think that, Jim, you would agree. You want this guy to leave this game with a positive impression in his mind.
Well, if that's the case, I'm taking him out only because of the way he's pitched this inning.
And he's going to take him out.
I understand what you're talking about, but again, I think the part of a manager, and it's a tough one, they want him to go longer this year, and most of the starting pitchers have, but it's a pretty good effort for Dave, coming off the arm problem. I'll go to my sinker baller.
Hernandez leaves. Albers coming on in the 6th. Interleague Baseball on Masson. The Orioles have a 4-0 lead on the Nats. We remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and the Baltimore Orioles. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals and the Baltimore Orioles. Lovely night on this Friday night. Here's Matt Albers.
Well, you take a couple of looks. You're bringing them in. There is the records. Inflated ERA gets righties out better than lefties. Righties at 220, lefties close to 300. Last pitched on Wednesday, a couple of unearned runs. And then the important number, and I know that you're certainly aware of this, Rob, is how do you do with inherited runners? He's come in with 10, 4 have scored.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, not a horrible number.
Not horrible.
Yeah, we saw Darren Oliver, the veteran. He had faced 13 inherited runners, and none had scored.
That's outstanding. Yeah, that's a huge stat. That not a lot of people. And I love that you keep that stat because there's certain things that I like as a reliever. Didn't do a good job of saving my own guys, but I tried to save as many of the starters' runs or the guy in front of me's runs.
Albers well off the plate for ball one. He's facing a very patient hitter in Josh Willingham, who began the night tied for the National League lead in walks and has a walk tonight.
Well, it looks to me he's got a pretty good idea of knowing what he wants to hit. In other words,
he wants the ball in.
Yeah,
middle of the plate in, and he's got really quick hands on the inner half and great power.
Well, they're one swing away of getting right back into this game because of the 2 walks. 5 on the night for David Hernandez.
Albers misses again, ball 2.
For Matt Albers, it's pretty simple. What arm angle, what release point do you have to get the ball to sink? Because he's going to throw anywhere from 92 to 95, and if it sinks, he's going to be effective.
He looks a little bit below 3/4. I mean, does he try to help it sink by the arm action?
No, he just does it exactly like that. But he's usually not more effective, but more of the time into righties. Very rarely is he able to locate down and away like that.
And you see the good rotation coming back towards the right side where Willingham is.
Came up with a slider in spring training.
2-1 is well off the plate, ball 3. And
that's 3.
So he's trying to backdoor sink.
No, he isn't.
He isn't?
No, he's just jerking him off the plate. I mean, if he is, that's not normally his M.O.
Wow.
Normally he throws it for the middle of the plate and hope it's going to sink down and in.
Throws a hard one, though, 93.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's not about the radar gun with Matt, though. It's about that. I mean, that's a perfect pitch right there. And what I like about Willingham and what makes it so tough to pitch to him is that he knows he can't hit that pitch. So he's I don't want to have anything to do with this. I have another strike to work with. You can't hit that pitch.
And the other thing you like about Willingham is he knows the tying run is on deck. So regardless of what he does, he needs to get on. Here's a 3-2 pitch, big pitch for Albers. And he walked it. So 3 consecutive walks allows the tying run to come to the plate here for the Nationals in the bottom of the 6th.
Take a look right here. Now, there's your first one. I mean, this is a terrific play at 93. But again, that's 2-0, hitters count. There's your perfect pitch. Going to jerk it off the outside corner again and then miss 3-2, and then another 6-8 inches off the outside corner. The last thing he wanted to do. The only good news is, I suppose, if you're an Oriole fan, is it sets up the double play. Not exactly what you want to do with a 4-run lead.
But you do have now a force at any base, and you have a ground ball guy.
But you do put the tying run at the plate, as you said, Jim.
Ivan Rodriguez is 0 for 2, and there's a strike 0-1. Rodriguez questioning the call of Mike Estabrook.
Well, you got a lifetime 300 hitter standing up there over 20 years.
Estabrook never answered him. Albers gets ahead. And that one's low, 1-1. The bases loaded. Zimmerman, the lead runner at third, with Adam Dunn at second base. And Josh Willingham, who just worked the walk, is on at first. Ivan Rodriguez at the plate representing the tying run. The Orioles scored 2 in the second, 2 in the third, and have not scored since. 1-1.
Slider.
Well, that's a slider. He did not have that pitch last year.
That's a good pitch.
Well, that's a great pitch. And again, it's one of those you want him to put the ball in play, but it's so good. He just swings through it.
Well, you're looking for a 93 sinker, and then the guy turns it over the other way and makes it rotate away from him.
Slow roller towards third and foul.
Yeah, another good breaking ball. Well, you can see why Pudge is up where he is as you look at Drew Storen.
You'll like this kid.
Well, I saw him on the highlights the other day. But 16 hits to left, 11 up the middle, and 12 to right. He's using the whole field when we talk to Ivan Rodriguez.
Oh, no, he has been hitting it where it's pitched. He's having a fabulous year.
And he used to be, which is such an oddity for a catcher. The routine double play ball is not a routine. I don't know what at 39, but he can run. Runs very well for a catcher.
The 1-2 fouled off the other way.
Yeah, broke his bat.
So he'll get a new bat. You see the direction of hits, sprays them around. 1 home run on the year.
Well, and I've talked to him a lot about his hitting, too, and he's a comfort guy. You know, if he feels comfortable up there, he's going to hit well. I don't think he's the type of guy that panics. If he's going through maybe a little dry spell, I think he knows he's going to come out of it. A lot of guys, like you said, will press the issue, whereas guys like Pudge Rodriguez, they continue to be patient hitters up there and look for something they could get into play in this kind of situation.
Well, and also he doesn't walk very much, so he's comfortable. He's very much like Miguel Tejada, where getting the bat to the ball.
And Rodriguez lays off. The count even 2-2. So here comes the biggest pitch of the at bat.
Well, see, what's happening is that once you see that good slider, you see it. And that was the best slider he threw. He fouled off another good one. So now all of a sudden, it's not like it's a mystery. So if you throw him another one and hang it, he's going to hit it hard somewhere.
Bounce towards short. Estorz, he'll go to second one, and no play back to first, so the Nats get a run. You saw maybe a momentary bobble there as he went to transfer. And Ty Wigginton alertly realizing that Rodriguez was hustling down the line, did not risk a throw.
Well, and it's just good, smart baseball. Don't try to make a heroic double play right here for Wigginton. Take the out, then look back at third. Maybe you catch Dunn sleeping. Coach Rodriguez getting that run in. That's huge. At least put something on the board this inning. All those walks.
Picks up the 16th RBI. The 2 down now. And if you're Albers, what you have to be thinking about is the reason that run scored is he walked Willingham to get that guy to third base.
And this is the guy that's kind of the dilemma for Jim Riggleman. He can have a great week and then have kind of a dry week. And then a good 2 weeks, and then another dry week. You're getting little glimpses of this guy could be fantastic, but not really as consistent, I think, as the Nationals would like.
But he's young.
He's coming off a broken ankle where he missed all of last year. Fantastic play out there in left center field, and his leg got stuck underneath the wall.
Real hard to learn how to hit at the big league level unless you get the bats.
And there's a strike, and he's pretty close to home plate, isn't he?
Yeah, he's right up over the plate.
Well, there's another sinker. Again, the lefty's hitting close to 300, but the ball starts a little bit in, ends up in the middle of the plate, but with good movement.
It was a good pitch. He threw it right at his hip, and he froze him.
Here's the 1-2. He bounces it 2-2.
And you can see with Craig Tatum, you have that faith. I always felt when you're going to throw a breaking ball, you want to keep it down. Look at this block. And again, Jeff Datz, who is come over to be the bench coach, has done a terrific job with both Tatum and Matt Wieters.
Well, it's anticipation, too, of that pitch. You know if it's a breaking ball, it might be down in the dirt. You got to be ready to get down in the dirt and keep in front of you.
Another 2-2 pitch is bounced towards second base. Wigginton will play at the first, and the inning ends. Nats settle for a run, strand 2. We played 6 interleague baseball, 4-1 game. at ChevyDealer.com.
A lovely look at the dome of the Capitol building, which is just down the street here from Nats Park. And yeah, come on, get it started there. There's the Oriole fan, there's the Nats fan, and that other guy who doesn't care who wins. And here's the head-to-head since 2005, very even in this interleague series.
Well, it can't get any more even.
12-12, 6 home runs
yeah,
each.
Everything.
The Nats have scored 6 more runs. Those have hit 2 more home runs, and each save 15 of the 24 decided by 2 runs or less. The Orioles have a 3-run lead as they bat here in the 7th. They were able to add 2 runs in the 3rd, but have not been able to get an add-on run since Miguel Batista came in the game.
Well, he's pitched well, he's fielded well, and he's hit well.
And it's a hot to right field, hangs up for Willie Harris, and on 1 pitch, 1 down, Willie had some trouble with the lights.
Yep,
nicely done.
Seen that before here at Nationals Park. A lot of it in left field, and you're going to see here on the Exmo, H.H. Gregg. Oh, it's in the lights, and oh, it's in my glove, and he didn't hit me.
Had it all the way.
Yep.
Well, there are some ballparks that you don't see that very often at Camden Yards, but at Memorial Stadium, Don Baylor would come in, and every once in a while there's just a certain ball, just can't see it, and he'd start backtracking because it'd go by him. And Don Baylor, for a guy that couldn't throw, was a terrific left fielder because he could run.
Pudge Rodriguez last night got a triple on a fly ball. You know when it's dusk and there's no clouds here on the East Coast. Very difficult to see at about 8:30. And ball went up right over Jeff Francoeur's head. He came running in. The ball hit near the warning track. So, you know, there are some times where it's really hard to see. But these lights have played a lot of tricks, especially on Josh Willingham out there in left field.
Luke Scott batting. He has 1 base hit. He's got 3 consecutive multi-hit games. He has been on some kind of a turnaround since through May the 6th. He was batting 177 with 14 hits. In the last 11 games, he has 20 hits, and 6 of those are home runs.
And you've gotten a lot of guys via the trade, whether it's Adam Jones or Luke Scott. Tejada was 5 for 1, went to Houston, now he's back.
And one of the guys was Luke Scott before
Luke
Tejada.
Scott, right? And so then Adam Jones was part of the Bedard deal. I mean, you've built this team with some really young, good guys. I always liked Luke Scott when he was with the Astros. I mean, so I think that he was definitely a great addition. You got some really good left-handed power guys.
Well, last year the difference for Luke was he started hitting lefties better. I mean, he hit 25 home runs, which led the Orioles, but 10 of them,
there's Adam,
and there it came from the left side against left-handers. And this year, we've seen it over this hot spell. All of a sudden, he's starting to get hits to left field, and that doesn't happen to him. I think he had 10 all last year. So there you are, Matt Wieters on the left, former #1 draft choice, arguably could be the best catcher in the American League East by the end of this year. And then Jones, who won All-Star and a Gold Glove last year.
Well, Luke Scott down on strikes, so Batista gets him again. He picked up his base hit against the lefty Olson, also walked against Olson, but he's 0 for 2 against Batista.
Miguel Batista doing a great job in relief tonight of Scott Olson, who went out with the shoulder tightness. And one of the best parts of this interleague stuff, too, is getting to know guys like Adam Jones. Love watching him. Watch a lot of the Oriole replays after our games go home. And, he was telling me that he played behind Mike Morse up in Seattle at shortstop. And one of our most valuable, utility guys is Mike Morse, can play infield, play outfield. And he talks about, loving to play the infield. And so, I mean, you've got the versatility of a guy like Adam Jones who's playing center field. Reminds me a lot of a Gary Sheffield, where he went from the infield, and Gary played 1 year, 2 years in the major leagues at short, and then went out to the outfield, became a really good outfielder. But Adam Jones looked too bad at center field for being a shortstop.
Yeah, that worked out all right. Well, Gary Pettos, we saw him, his first base coach down in Texas, and he actually managed in the Arizona Fall League when Adam Jones played shortstop. And a couple of years ago when we first got Adam, I said, what kind of shortstop was he? He said, had good range, had a terrific arm, which he has from center field. And we thought he was going to be a special hitter.
Montañez fouls off another, count evens 2-2 with 2 outs and none on in the 7th inning. Batista has retired 6 in a row.
So if you were running this club, Jones moves to shortstop, PA goes to center, Reimold, when he gets healthy, goes to left. Will he lead Markagian right? You think that might work?
No, I'm just going to analyze it. I'll let those guys run the game. I mean, you want guys to be happy, but you also want them on defense to be taking runs away from the opposition. So,
well, strike 3 called, and Batista has his second consecutive 3-up, 3-down inning. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey. Please drink responsibly. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. on MASN HD and MASN 2 HD. The Nationals and the Orioles continue the series. Brad Ferguson will be on the mound for the Orioles, 3-3 on the year. But since coming back from his quick stint at AAA, he has been great. Over his last 3 starts, 2-1 with an ERA of 1.71. He goes against Craig Stammen. This season, 1-2, 5.86. He is winless in his last 5 starts, so he's looking to turn it around. Coverage begins 3:30 with O's Extra on MASN HD and Nats Extra on MASN 2 HD. And gentlemen, there's the matchup.
Yeah, sinker baller against Stammen, who's actually, I watched the game in St. Louis. Pitched well after the first inning. They got 4 runs early.
Yeah, and it was a question of, once again, and I've said this in many of Craig's starts, is figuring out what's working that night, going out there and making them hit your pitches, and the ones that aren't working, you take them out of the rotation. And you can't keep trying to work in. And we talked about this before the game started. If you have 4 pitches, you don't need to throw all 4 that night. Sometimes you can go through the lineup 3-4 times, and you can talk about this more than I can because you were the Hall of Fame starter with 1 pitch. Your job is to go out there and win ball games, not go out there and show everybody all the stuff in your arsenal.
Well, that's why you give him his innings, and you hope he learns that. And Nigel Morgan waiting on deck.
How many times did you go out there, you didn't even feel good about your warm-up, and you probably pitched one of your better games?
Well, I never had happened to me what happened to John Mayne when he threw 5 pitches and they took him out last night. And Dan Wortham said, I didn't like the way he warmed up. He was throwing about 80.
You might not have started a few games in your career then.
Well, I don't know about 80, but yeah.
But we're talking about a bad warm-up.
Well, yeah, had them all the time. It's kind of like when we were down in Dallas, we were playing the Byron Nelson. They were staying in the same hotel playing where we were staying. And I was working out and ran into James Driscoll, who's a young guy on the tour. And I said, do you really worry about, because when we're pitching, do you really worry about your warm-up? Do you worry about how you hit them on the range? He said, no. If you're hitting them fade, when you want to hit a draw, you play the fade. Well, that's kind of what starting pitching's about.
Hit past the mound. Wigginton has it. Has to get it over there in a hurry and does. Nicely done.
It's a great play by Wigginton.
The bat went flying at Albers, and the ball bounced over his head at the same time. Wow.
Well, that's that movement. And it gets in on his hands. Sinker. Yeah, Wiggy had a little trouble down in Texas. A lot of tough plays. There's the bat, and there's the ball, and it is. He's backtracking and then off his back foot after a throw. Desmond reminds me a little bit of Derek Jeter, because he runs and everything hard and makes it almost bang-bang.
Well, you would love this kid. His favorite players, Pete Rose, the bat explodes. You see it on the Exmo. But he is all in all the time. Sometimes you can get him in trouble on defense a little bit, but
Nigel Morgan off the bench to pinch here for the pitcher, slaps it the other way. And Lou Montañez will dig it out, and there's a pinch hit double for Niger Morgan.
Well, remember, the lefties hit Albers a lot harder. Coming in at 300, it was early in the year about 450.
But he did a great job here. Hard 93-mile-an-hour sinker going away. You got to go with it to left field. So give Niger a lot of credit. He's been in a little bit of a dry spell lately. Hopefully that gets him out of it. He is dangerous when he's on the base path.
Well, he certainly gets him to second.
Oh, he is. He is as fast as they come.
What, he's 8 out of 16?
Yeah, he's had some problems on the base pass. A few of those have been picked off. You know, so they go down as a caught stealing.
Well, what he shouldn't be thinking about here is stealing third, because it doesn't matter. He's down by 3 and he's in scoring position.
Well, I read a blurb and I was talking to him down in the cage. I said, he hurt his hand last year, so they told him you have
stop
to slide
diving head first.
Right, and then he did not have the kind of success.
No.
He said that didn't work.
Yeah, the sliding feet first messed him up a little bit.
And Albers falls behind another hitter. He's 2-0.
Well, they're very much in this game. And the one thing, when we were talking to Jim Riggleman, and you were there last night, they were well down last night, but it ended up 10-7.
Because this team never quits.
Yeah.
The one thing that I've said it all year, they refuse to lose. They hate losing. They go in, they stew about it after the game, and they knew that they let one get away last night, but it got away early in the ball game with the pitching.
High fly ball right field. He got a lot of it. Markakis looking up, and that ball is gone. Willie Harris hits it out, and it's a one-run game.
Well, not only did he hit it out,
crushed it.
Yeah.
Willie Hot Rod Harris.
So now you know why Jim Riggleman put the 183 hitter in the lineup.
Well, he is a streaky hitter, and he has had to try to fight to get into the lineup, and so he's not getting a lot of at-bats, consistent at-bats to stay sharp. But when he does hit one, boy, it flies.
Well, there's your 2-0 count.
Yep.
Willie sitting on a fastball, gets a fastball, and they crawl back within one.
Falls behind Guzman 1-0.
But we would say Niger Morgan got that going.
Oh, yeah.
And he is a fire starter. And when he's making contact and getting on base, good things happen for this Nationals team.
And they match up the lefties against Albers. And it's about, even the ball to Morgan was in the middle of the plate. It was down, but it was in the middle of the plate. If that ball's on the corner, it's probably foul. Then he gets behind Harris.
Then why does he stay with the sinker? Why not go to the slider?
Well,
he's got a great slider. Throw it down on the ankles of the lefties.
He doesn't really trust that pitch. It's not a real good curveball, but he gets the call.
I don't know if you've seen Mike Pelfrey of the Mets, but he found a forkball this year. And with that 95 to 97 mile-an-hour fastball, he's been devastating.
Yeah.
And it's. Let me ask you that question then. How do you get the confidence to throw a pitch you've just started throwing and working on?
Well, I think it's difficult. It's a lot easier if you're a starter because you can
repetition.
Yeah, and you can also kind of judiciously throw it. But and you know better than anybody because you came out of the bullpen, when you come in to protect the lead, and especially if you come in as a setup man with men on, it's got to be instantaneous success. You don't get to work your way into the flow of the game.
Right. Well, and I know I stopped throwing a changeup, and I never threw one again the same way. It was kind of I know you know what I'm talking about here with a dry spitball that I was taught by an older pitching coach, and you just don't hold the seams. You basically throw it, and it slips through your hand, and you throw it as hard as you can, and that backspin, it kind of backs up and slows down. Cal Daniels hit one 500 feet in spring training one time. I never threw it again. But it is difficult to get it through your mind to throw some of these pitches against actual major league hitters.
Will Ullman getting loose. Adam Dunn is on deck if Zimmerman keeps the inning going.
But we've also talked about your best pitch getting smoked at the major league level, and guys, they get gun shy. Now they start going with the secondary change up here and nibble in there. And
well, let's see what happens here because the last 2-0 pitch was a 2-run home run to a guy that really doesn't hit that many home runs.
So he's going.
This guy does.
No, he goes outside sinker again.
Check swing. Tatum asks for an appeal. Estabrook will not ask, so it's ball 3.
Wow.
And Ullman's, he's up for Adam Dunn, who's on deck.
I thought you had a Will Omens story for us.
Oh, I do. And
3-0 on Zimmerman with 2 down. And ball 4, so he allows the go-ahead run to come to the plate. Second walk allowed by Albers. Holman is ready, standing, watching the action.
Well, this has kind of been the storyline you talked about, Rob. The Nationals getting the pitch count out. Dave Hernandez leaves. Then you bring in Albers. He gets out of 1 inning. Now he's kind of imploding with the walks. And
got him up to 35 pitches quickly.
Yep. He's gone, and now you're going to match up with your Dave Fremlin.
So Ullman comes on, a 1-run game. Scott Olson left with shoulder tightness. David Hernandez trying to win his first game since last August the 11th. And Willie Harris got the Nats right back in it with this swing.
2-0 pitch, elevates it. He elevates it, and it's just not your normal home run. I mean, it's over the bullpen off the facade out there in a hurry.
Well, Adam Jones went way out, so if you're going to go deep, go way deep. You know, if you're going to do something well, do it very well.
Well, that's what Will Ullman's going to try to do. He has not given up one of his own runs.
The rivalry started with the grounds crew.
Yes, exactly.
You called out our grounds crew, and they'll never forgive you for that.
All I asked was what was in the bottle. You guys are so defensive here. There's Will Ullman.
I think it's some kind of miracle sticky dirt substance.
Well, we are in Washington, and there is a lot of defense spending.
Wow.
So there you go. That's where you get the defensive.
So what you're saying is that bottle cost about $50,000?
I don't know. Did Halliburton? Did they contract it? Come on.
0-1 on Adam Dunn, who has walked twice tonight. Oriole pitching has walked 7. Oh, good pitch there. Nothing at 2. The Nats have only 3 hits, but they've had 7 walks.
This is about as good as your slider. And, Ullman, Will, I said, do you ever throw harder before the Tommy John in the elbow and the shoulder? And he said, not really. He said, only when I rehab my Tommy John, because I didn't face hitters for 2 years. And you kind of get into the rehab mode. But he's done a nice job. And the walks have been up. But when you talk to him, you realize that at 32, he's been around. This is what he knows. He's not going to give in to Adam Dunn. Doesn't mean that's always going to work out.
Right.
But he's got a game plan.
But he's being very humble. When he was with the Cubs, they thought he would become the closer. He threw very well back in the day.
And back-to-back pitches, Dunn won't chase, so the count even 2-2.
And then quickly, I was on the bus in Texas yesterday, and I said, he's doing the games with Rob Dibble, and he said, oh, yeah, he came to Pepperdine. I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, 1997, 98, and I said, well, what's your best pitch? And Rob said, well, you mean other than 100 miles per hour on the black?
Never said
yes,
that.
He did.
No,
Well,
there's no way.
And then you amplified by saying, no, actually, it's my backup slider.
2 and 2 undone.
Stories just get better over time.
Line foul. He hit it hard.
Well, so
100 on the flat.
was this you were working out, or were you doing a pitching clinic?
I maybe broke 80 when I started, and I got it back up in the low 90s. And tell me this isn't, a totally circle. Dave Stewart, who we beat in the World Series 7 years earlier, was the assistant general manager with the Padres, signed me to a minor league contract, invite to spring training in '98 with the Padres. And it took me 6 months to get my velocity from about, 80.
Left field, playable for Montañez. Lou backs up on it. Ullman gets the big out, and the Orioles hold the lead. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Bob Carpenter's coming back. We'll see you tomorrow. The Orioles have a 4-3 lead.
Good night, Jimbo.
Have a good night.
Wendy's. Buy a boneless wings combo at Wendy's and get a scratch and scorecard. Win great prizes from the Orioles and Wendy's. Wendy's, you know when it's real. Ball game a lot closer than it's been most of the night, thanks to Willie Harris and his 4th homer of the year. The Nationals take another peek into their future with Drew Storen about to make his 3rd major league appearance. It's been a while since I've seen you guys, but I've sure been listening.
What have you been doing?
Yeah.
Research.
How's your night going?
Research.
Well, I'm excited to see Drew Storen. I saw some of the highlight clips, so part of the future here. One of the S-boys. I guess we'll probably see the other one over the course of the summer.
Well, and Corey Patterson was just down and played against Syracuse in one of the Strasburg starts, and now he's up here back with the big club. So a lot of guys down there. Jock Jones is down there. Repko's down there. Jason Repko trying to make it back up to the major leagues. So Strasburg's getting a few big league guys sprinkled in there. So did Drew Storen.
Hard sinker, good slider. And as important as anything so far from what we've seen from him, the demeanor. Does not appear to be intimidated at this level. And he wasn't even closing at AAA. He was a 6th, 7th, and 8th inning guy. Joel Peralta is down there closing for the Syracuse ball club, but he did serve as the closer for his brief stay at AA in Harrisburg.
And I did get it out of Drew on the bus over to Walter Reed today that he did have a 3-point GPA at Stanford.
Nice.
Another Stanford. Mike Messina, of course, went to Stanford.
That's up and in, 2-0 to Craig Tatum.
Well, he's throwing off the exact same part of the pitching rubber as David Hernandez. Way over on the first base
could be a problem. He's way over there. There's a huge hole these guys are digging out of. A great overhead shot.
Well, it gives you a great angle to the outside corner against right-handers.
Well, and then you see him also. He locks up the front shoulder, and your former guy, the left-handed guy that went to George Sherrill, where they twist that front foot to try to angle that shoulder and kind of make a conscious effort of keeping that front shoulder locked in.
Well, that and also deception. You would talk to all the left-handed hitters would faced George Sherrill, they said we never see the ball. He hides it so well. But you got to get close to have a direct line. And if you're going to fall a little bit left, the ball will run, but it just doesn't have that leg finish. And this will probably give us a real definitive. Yeah, so there's that. Yeah.
Foot closed. Comes in. Powers over that front leg. You see him rotate on that toe very nicely. And that's the thing. I don't know how you break Hernandez of that habit that he lands on his heel. But it's hard. It's hard to get over that front leg when you're landing going backward.
A very rare walk by Drew Storen, really at any level. That's what distinguished him last year after he signed. He'll face his Turris. We have a thirst inning moment for you. Brought to you by Budweiser, official beer of the thirst inning. Budweiser, it's what we do. And the bouncing ball up the middle that gave the Orioles their runs by Tatum. One of those runs, the difference in the ball game right now, his second hit of the game and his second and third season RBIs. That took place back in the third, or the thirst. And a bunt foul picked up quickly by Pudge Rodriguez.
Well, they have action in the Oriole bullpen. It looks like it's Clay Meredith, so you would assume that with him up, and he's now pitched in 3 straight games if he comes into this ballgame. Hasn't been really that effective, but you assume if you're going to bunt, you're going to pitch hit, obviously, for the next batter.
You keep running him out there, and you figure, well, one of these days he's going to pitch better. So,
well, that's certainly hope, because Meredith, a sinker baller.
Fastball 94 upstairs.
Crisp.
Yeah, the ball comes out of his hand nicely. Well, early on, when I was 18, Billy Hitchcock managed the Orioles, and then Hank Bauer took his place, and he was still a consultant with the Orioles. And after watching me pitch, he came up the next day, and you might be able to relate to this. He said, you know what? You don't have to throw every ball as hard as you can. I said, really? I didn't know that.
That's a good bunt. Storen Fields looks to Guzman. Wow. He fired one outside to Christian Guzman, who ends up on his knees. Sacrifice good, 1-4.
And that had a little hair on it on the throw, so Guzzi gets about a 90-mile-an-hour fastball here. Great bump by Etcheris. Right back out to the mound, but soft enough to where he has to throw to first. And I don't know if your infielders love you after this.
26-year-old infielder Scott Moore will hit for the Orioles here.
And you know what, Jim? I have not talked to you since Robin Roberts passed away, and I know he was your first roommate. And
well, it taught me a lot about pitching. I mean, and of course, we both end up in the Hall of Fame, and you find him to be such a great guy. I mean, I was listening to the Sunday night game Joe Morgan was talking about when Robin was in Houston. He was coming up. He taught him how to throw from second base.
Really?
Yeah, wow. Just to work on his rhythm, and Steve McCaddy out to have a little conversation with Drew Storen. But what Robin was, he was a terrific pitcher, and I don't know if you ever had the good fortune of somebody at a really young age to tell you, you know what, the best pitch in baseball is the fastball, well located. You have one. Hope you're smart enough to use it. And then you have a little breaking ball you can throw for a ball, and you have one you can throw for a strike, and you kind of get back, load, and get your arm out in front. And I saw him pitch a 13-hit shutout.
I'm going to tell you who those two men were. I was down at Group 5 Extended Spring down in St. Petersburg, Florida after 1 year in the minor leagues, actually a half year. And George Bamberger,
that's my guy,
and Joe Altobelli were with the Brewers and the Orioles, saw me throwing. My pitching coach had walked away because we had kind of had a little bit of a tiff that my mechanics were a little bit erratic and they didn't like them. They wanted me to become a Spalding guide type guy where I tucked the leg underneath and stuff. And I know you were a big leg out guy like myself. And I kind of emulated Eckersley growing up in New England. I watched him and I liked the straight leg and everything. And it helped me balance. He said no. Joe Altobelli and George Bamberger came over from two different organizations and both said the same thing. Listen, you throw well, you throw hard, throw strikes. Get that first pitch in there, come up with something off speed, and you have a shot to get to the major leagues. So don't let that guy talk you out of what we feel is your best stuff. And so they kind of, took my mechanics and they said, well, why don't you try to do this and settle down on this? And I had a few things kind of loose and they tightened it up. And, 5 years later, I'm in the major leagues. But immediately thought of that moment in St. Petersburg. out on a back field that changed the course of my career.
27,378 here at the Battle of the Beltways. Stanza 1 for 2010 at Nationals Park. Bob Carpenter in the booth with Rob Dibble and Jim Palmer. Jim Hunter just departed. Amber Thea Harris and Debbie Taylor tracking stories for us for both ball clubs around the ballpark tonight. 1 on, 1 out, top of the 8th, and Storen not seeing enough daylight to make that throw as Desmond cut in behind Tatum.
Yeah, this game pretty much going like the whole series. 12-12, runs almost even. Yeah, there's your daylight plate. You see the left glove? Well, that's the sign, and then you just turn and fire if you think it's proof.
Very nice sinker right there. But here's the thing. This is the first really, really tight jam that Jim Riggleman has brought Drew into. Third appearance in the major leagues. Got to win the other night. But he's getting a little bit more, valuable time here out of the bullpen.
Well, if he makes that pitch, it's going to make it a lot less difficult. Great movement down in the zone.
2-2. Swing and a miss on a big breaking ball. And I say big breaking ball, it was 85 or thereabouts. That's a big, hard breaking ball, 2 outs.
Yeah, that's a great over the top. I would call this a curveball.
Well, this is a Clay Buchholz type of breaking ball. He pitches for the Red Sox.
Top. Yep. Pull down on it.
Well, you could see, I mean, again, I assume that was the H.H. Gregg Exmo, where you see how the hand actually is out in front. Well, we have that in Baltimore.
Here's Corey Patterson with 2 outs and a runner at second. Off the glove of Storen, and the Orioles will add a run here. And Drew Storen's going to give up his first run as a major league pitcher. He got a piece of it, but he knows that's not what hurt. It was the leadoff walk to the catcher.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. And then what happens? You sacrifice. They get the big sacrifice, and then you end up. And we talked about Corey Patterson in the middle of the plate. That's pretty much exactly where that ball is. Good fastball hitter. Just drops the head of the bat on it. And again, obviously, if it's a little bit in, it's probably right to Guzman at second. If it's away, it's probably right to the shortstop. But in the middle of the plate, Corey hits it right back up the middle.
Well, and give Corey some credit right there. I mean, they just faced each other down in the minor leagues, and actually Drew was telling me about it on the bus when they were talking about Corey Patterson. So he's seen him a little bit. He knows he throws very hard, and he just put that ball back up the middle. Good 2-out RBI.
I thought the most athletic play there was the second base umpire, Mike Winters. He almost was drilled as that ball changed directions off the glove of Storen. Now here's Ty Wigginton 0 for 4. Mike Winters, 21st year, still agile. Drew is pumped up tonight, overthrowing a bit. Phillies have beaten the Red Sox tonight in East Coast Interleague play 5-1. And a 1-1 from Storen. Ball hammered to left, and there's Willingham. Orioles pick up a big run right after the Nats had come back to within 1. Willingham, Rodriguez, and Bernardina coming up. live his first pitch. First 20,000 fans receive a free Nationals cap presented by ExxonMobil. Get your tickets. Plenty of good tickets remain for tomorrow and Sunday at nationals.com. Scott Moore will stay in, play second base. And on the double switch, Ty Wigginton out of the ball game. And the new pitcher, Clay Meredith, will bat second. A couple of years ago, we saw all of this guy we ever wanted to see in San Diego when he was setting up for Trevor Hoffman and had one of the best 7th or 8th inning arms in the National League.
Yeah, when he's on his game, he's gonna sink it. He's got one of those kind of frisbee sliders. The changeup he very rarely throws. Doesn't walk a lot of guys. Lefties hit him well. It's pretty typical of sinker ballers, or guys that you really pick up the ball well if you're a left-handed batter. More deceptive to a right-hander. And he's pitched the last 2 nights. Actually, 3 of the last 4 games.
That sidearm whip has always been tough on right-handed batters. Josh Willingham 0 for 1, pair of walks tonight. And his on-base average continues to go up. It's over 420 now, despite the fact he's 3 for his last 17.
Well, it's nice to be in a slump and still getting on base, isn't it?
That's the dimension he's added to his game this year. He goes opposite field, right at Nick Markakis. And the countdown for the Orioles is down to 5 outs. Stop by Chili'sBaseball.com. You might win a VIP baseball trip. And at Chili's, it's all in the preparation.
Visit ever. That's another thing. I saw the Nationals playing flip, a little game they play.
We call it international flip because everybody on the team is involved these days.
That's right, and I mean it's terrific. We used to play it behind the the batting cage before the game. Pitchers come out, infielders, outfielders. But when I think of preparation, I think about having played Pepper with Hank Bauer, my first manager, and then you get Aparicio and Brooks Robinson, 2 Hall of Famers. And Hank liked to hit the ball hard. They don't do that anymore. I haven't seen anybody play Pepper in years. Almost part of spring training.
That ball trying to hug the line and foul.
Well, and we didn't see any of those games last year. Now we see nothing but those flip games, card games, all kinds of different things as a family unit, and it's been the best part about this year for the Nationals.
Well, I thought Jim Rickleman, when we were, talked to me way before the game, but right before the game, he said, I wasn't happy the way we played last night. We played a horrible game. We didn't play smart baseball. And I had a little meeting. And I told him it's unacceptable. And he said, you know what? I can be here every night if you want to go home and play the game right, or we can just have a meeting. It's your choice. And you want that out of a manager. I mean, you really do. I mean, John McLaren said they were, 0-11 the first 11 games in spring training?
Yeah.
If you look at Alfredo Simone, the Orioles' new closer. And John said, boy, I really thought that I got myself into a tough situation.
Great swing by Pedro Rodriguez. That's what he did the entire first month of the season when he batted over 400 for a while. Everything was to right field and right center. He's 1 for 4 tonight. Time for you to text in your vote for the AT&T Player of the Game. Is it Miguel Batista who kept this from becoming a blowout? Is it Craig Tatum with a walk, 2 hits, and 2 RBIs? Or is it Adam Jones who hit that 2-run homer in the second inning? And despite leaving the ball game, he kind of got Scott Olsen started on that tough road of his tonight.
Can I vote BC for Tatum and Jones? The great night for Tatum to back up Wieters to come in and do what he did.
If you text twice, Rob, you may.
Yeah. And then Adam Jones, big home run. First time in, 97 at bats? See, I'm a good listener.
There's Bernardina. But
all the way since April 24th.
That question kind of beat me to the punch. If the Nationals would happen to come back and win this game, Miguel Batista would be the guy who made that possible.
He pitched well. He did exactly what a long man's supposed to do. Slam the door.
Bernardina takes a backdoor breaking ball that's over but low.
Batista, 4 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, couple of Ks, 57 pitches, 34 for strikes. That's, like I said, he's done that all year for us and saved the bullpen, by the way, for tomorrow's game.
And then he got a base hit. He got the first hit of the game in the 5th inning.
Broke up the no-no.
My type of guy, all-around pitcher.
Very cultured.
Well, I've always liked him.
Yeah,
He really
great
is.
guy.
Yeah,
He plays the
guy.
saxophone, writes poetry. He's written books on poetry, all kinds of stuff. I mean, he's just a wonderful guy to be in the clubhouse with. The younger crowd, I guess.
He's a Renaissance man.
Do they call him sir?
I don't know. I mean, Drew and some of the other young players call me Mr. Dibble, and it dates me and really makes me upset. I'm not that old, am I?
Yeah, but the only thing is he makes me call him that, too.
Oh, man. Sean Casey did that to me. I mean, I was in my 30s at the time.
But he's like
Mr. Dibble.
He's the most. Billy Ripken said, he's
the most well-mannered young man.
The nicest guy in baseball.
They called him the mayor when he played. Caps and Stanton.
Tying runs in the batter's box here in the bottom of the 8th. Bernardina chops one that is grabbed by Scott before it can go foul.
Yeah, that's a nice play. For a guy that doesn't play a lot of first base, pretty routine if you're there.
2 outs. And again, Rodriguez to second base for Ian Desmond.
And it's really, he played for a little first base last year. They moved him over there last night in Texas only because Dave Tremblay knew he's probably, as hot as he is, going to play first through this series. You'd see Bernardino trying to get by him. But he got it before it went foul. Probably going to go foul right there. And you need outs. As you said, Bob, they're counting the outs here.
They are.
For both teams.
And I apologize. I called Doug Slayton Stanton. I talked to Mike Stanton this morning, so.
Well, left-handed.
Left-handed. Been a long day.
One guy tall.
Yeah, they're lefties.
Yeah. Spoken like a true right-hander.
Desmond hammers one to center. How far is this ball going? Not far enough for the Nats, and Patterson is there. Orioles pitchers, for the most part, have been unhittable enough tonight, despite the walks. A 5-3 lead into the ninth. Top of the ninth inning, Markakis, Tejada, and Scott for Baltimore. We will finish this weekend up on Sunday. Bring the family out early. Pre-game player autographs starting at 12:15. And the first 10,000 kids 12 and under get a free kids t-shirt. Looks like the Oriole Bird and Screech on there doing battle. Stick around after the game. Kids get to run the bases on Sunday. And if there's anything like past years this weekend, that'll be a rubber game on Sunday. We'll see. Left-hander Doug Slayton will take over. Since coming to the Nats about a week and a half ago, he's been busy. 5 games, 4 innings, 6 hits, but only 1 run. Rest of the bullpen is quiet, so this will be more than just a lefty-lefty situational appearance with Markakis leading off. Nick with a base hit in the first. He's 1 for 4 tonight. Slayton bounces one, and the count's 2-0. Another ball game of interest to both of these clubs, the Yankees and the Mets, 2-0. Yankees lead innings. Vasquez matching up against Takahashi tonight.
Was that a you pick 'em on that game? Takahashi out of the bullpen and Vasquez skipped the start.
Yeah,
two score.
2-0 game, top of the 9th inning there at Citi Field.
Yeah, you don't want to go bad in the Yankee uniform.
No.
I don't care how good you were last year at the National League.
But then you're going bad, and then you complain that they skipped you in the rotation.
Twice. But they let you come in and get a save.
No, he started that game.
No, I'm talking about the last time he pitched.
Oh, the last time. That's right. The
Yeah.
last time he pitched, he came in relief.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at Zambrano with the Cubs, making $18 million, and he's a long man now.
Well, now they're actually
They're putting him back in the rotation. Well, you knew that was going to happen. That happened years ago with Barry Zito. I don't even think he made a relief appearance.
3-1. Markakis hammers it up the middle. Desmond! Can he gut him out?
Got him.
That's all we need to show you about what people in Washington think of this young man.
a pretty special play right there, especially if you're on the mound.
Jim, he's been in the minor leagues for 6 years, so he's paid his dues.
Well, where's he been?
Behind Guzman, who had, what, about 4 or 5 years in contracts up here.
Came up and hit 280 last September. The Nats had glimpses of this. Now, he's made 9 errors, and some of them have been rookie mistakes.
This is what his former manager, Frank Robinson, said. I'm telling you, his instincts are better than some guys I've seen play this game for 20 years. It just took him a while to get here.
Slayton gets a comebacker from Tejada. 2 quick outs here in the top of the ninth.
Yeah, I think Markakis came in at 380 against lefties. He wanted that average to get closer to 400, and there's Desmond in the way. Well, what a difference leading off an inning. You come in relief, again, I mean, I relieved it my first year. But you come in, the first out is so important.
It's a confidence builder.
Yeah, it really is. And you come in, you make what you think is a good pitch. It looks like it's going to be a base hit up the middle.
Well, it gets rifled.
Yeah, right.
Somebody makes a play like that, you're like, whew, dodge that one. All right, now I'm back. I got an out.
Here's Luke Scott. Single walk, 2 runs scored.
But defense is everything. And we saw it all last year with the Phillies, Bob. Their pitching was not good for the first half of the season.
But they caught the ball.
Offense and defense was spectacular. Kept them in it. And then once they got Cliff Lee and their pitching got stronger, they were back to the World Series again.
Yeah, we've often quoted Whitey Herzog, who's going to the Hall of Fame this summer, who used to say, I can wait for offense. I cannot, as a manager, wait for defense. Got to have it all the time.
And you had some amazing defenders when you pitched.
We never worried about it. We had Brooks at 16 Gold Gloves. Avaricio's in the Hall of Fame as a shortstop.
Belanger.
Well, Belanger had 9. Blair had 8. Bobby Grich had 7. I think maybe 3 with the Orioles. Davey Johnson had 4. Boog Powell could pick it at first. Eddie Murray was very good.
Outstanding first baseman.
Yeah, then I had Cal Ripken.
You weren't spoiled.
No.
And he had some pretty good ones behind the plate, too.
Yeah, well, we just had guys that understood how to catch. Well, we didn't have any Pudge Rodriguez's that could throw like that.
On a 2-1 pitch over to left. Zimmerman's there. And at the padding, he didn't get it. That's a play. You just expect Ryan Zimmerman to catch anything that doesn't go 3 rows deep. Just couldn't have that ball hanging up in the air long enough.
Well, he gets over to the wall. He's feeling for it, and right as he goes to make it, that's when he's right near it and wasn't able to squeeze it.
By the way, Jim, we're feeling pretty good about the left side of our infield for the next 10 years.
I would imagine so.
24 and 25 years of age over there. Zimmerman seems like he ought to be 30 now.
Yeah,
he's been around so long.
It really does seem like he's been in the league about 10 years.
2-2 and a breaking ball way outside from Slayton on Scott.
Well, you got to get your core players. The Yankees had that run. Joe Torre just happened to, a terrific manager, but he just got there in '96, and that was Jeter's first year.
Bernie Williams,
and then you had O'Neill, and you had Posada started catching. Mariano was a setup guy. The next year he would become the closer. And what I liked about Joe Torre, I mean, obviously probably went home and took some credit, but to the public, he said, listen, I got 5 to 7 good starters. I have a closer that saved 90% of my games. Rivera's done that for a career, which is why he's going to the Hall of Fame. And I have guys that understand how to hit.
And the ability to go out and get a player when they need it.
Well, that's another. It's the bonus. Nobody's going to outspend you.
3-2 again. Scott high in the air, right center.
You got a guy there.
Willie Harris. That ball catch drifting and into Roger Bernardina territory. Number 9 due up in the ninth, then the top of the order, 2-run game. His fourth of the year.
Got it to within 1.
And then the Orioles tacked on a run after Drew Storen walked the leadoff man of the 8th, and here's Simone.
Well, fasten your seatbelts because he's got the job done. I mean, this was a guy that had Tommy John surgery last May. He was a starter, actually. He pitched the exhibition game and Wellington hit the grand slam. So all of a sudden he comes back for Tommy John. He was down in the minor leagues because of the injury to Mike Gonzalez, shoulder problems. They needed a closer. Jim Johnson, elbow torn ligament, so he went to the minors and now is on the disabled list. He throws hard. He throws 95 and 97. He's got a splitter. That was a game where the Orioles imploded with a 2-0 lead. He threw a splitter at 86, and the guy that you had last year, Austin Kern, hit a 3-run home run. But the last game he came in, he was pretty much fastballs with a couple of splitters, and he was very effective with a 1-run lead. And that was, Tuesday night in Baltimore. But he will walk people.
Julio Lugo takes over at second base here in the ninth. That'll move Scott Moore over to first.
That's pretty much why they brought Scott up, because he can play so many positions. Also third base, can play the outfield.
Here's Adam Kennedy. And a fastball in there, high in the zone for a strike. Kennedy is a pinch hitter this year. 1 for 3 with an RBI. He's hitting .255, but he's one of those veteran guys. The timing of his hits always seems to be good.
So again, tremendous stuff, but just really learning how to close. You know, what do you do best?
What happens when Mike Gonzalez comes back?
Well, that'll be a problem they'll have to deal with, but I don't think that'll be a problem.
This guy throws very well.
Yeah. I mean, right here, you're late on the fastball. What do you throw? There's a splitter.
And he had Kennedy reaching. He guides it to Lugo, 1 out. Fourth drive of the game from your Washington area Ford dealers. Willie Harris made it close back in the 7th with his 4th homer of the year, and Willie steps in here in the 9th.
You know, I noticed he's got a little of the Reggie Jackson. He got around the base a little bit quicker than Reggie, but he had a little hop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a David Ortiz where it takes 28 seconds to hit a home run and go around.
Willie Harris, though, has hit the ball in the air 4 times tonight. One of them did leave the ballpark, but the Nats need him hitting ground balls and line drives.
Need a base runner.
Yeah, that's. And of course, if you're Alfredo Simon, then you understand that. Not that you give in to the hitter, you make sure you throw strikes. But again, he gets a little bit around things, and when he goes left, that's where the pitches go. Everything flattens out. But just think about it. You've never done this before. You get a little bit in the minor leagues. You come in. Eckersley used to always say, I don't want to mess up what my teammates have presented to me for 8 innings. And there's another ball. So it's a roller coaster ride. You're Dave Tremblay, you're going to go up and down, and that's why when you see a guy like Rivera, or you see the guys that really do it well.
Well, Hoffman and Rivera, just the consistency. Joe Nathan, what he means to the Twins, the consistency in the last 5-6 years. I mean, that being able to count on that is huge for the whole team. The offense, the defense, the starting rotation. Knowing you have a guy down there to close it, I think it really helps. Get that last out. I mean, we've got Matt Capps 15 for 15. When we do get him the lead after the 8th inning, 18-0.
Well, he's not. We saw him when Pittsburgh came to Baltimore a couple of years ago. He's not afraid to throw the ball over.
Willie Harris taking all the way after 3-0. Here comes another. And he's going to hit one into center field. Easy play for Patterson. And the Orioles are 1 out away from a 13-12 all-time lead in the battles of the Beltway. Now, Tatum, the runaway winner for Player of the Game, sponsored by AT&T tonight. Thank you for texting. So everybody texted letter B nearly today.
Well, pretty special. Yeah, it's pretty special when you're a backup catcher and the main guy hits a ball off his knee. You get to bet around 6 and you steer David Hernandez, because if he wins, it'll be the first time he's won since last August. He has a 10-game losing streak. They got him runs tonight for the first time all year.
Nationals need Christian Guzman aboard for Ryan Zimmerman here. And that's what they'll get. Julio Lugo timed his leap perfectly, but Christian Guzman hit the ball too hard, and Ryan Zimmerman will represent the tying run here with 2 outs in the ninth.
Well, that's what happens when you have a point guard playing second base. You can time that leap perfectly and still got to get over his head.
Well, the pitch was up in the zone. It's almost strange sometimes. Guys almost stand straight up, get on top of that, and he drove that into right field. They just see it so well, and they're looking for that one good fastball in the inner half, and he knew what to do with it.
Well, so it's great broadcasting with you guys, because it's almost like a game here, because you guys do the Nationals. They need to get a guy on so Zimmerman can get to the plate. The Orioles want to get out of it, get those 3 outs, and you got to get 27 if you're going to win the game.
Number 27 will be a tough one.
Oh, yeah, the hack.
Ryan Zimmerman 0 for 2 tonight. Couple of walks. 0 for 4 with an RBI walk last night. His last base hit was an opposite field single in the 7th inning. Helped to beat the Mets 5-3 on Wednesday.
And the one thing about Simone, he understands what he needs to do to get better. And for a guy with, a good arm, again, coming off Tommy John, he probably thought his career might be over last year.
By the way, we mentioned this a couple of hours ago, about 3.5 hours ago. 15 of the 24 games in this series have been decided by 2 runs or less. Here we are, 5-3 in the ninth. Zimmerman out to center. It's going to stay in the park, and the Orioles are going to win it 5-3. 3 hours and 24 minutes. And, Jim, your team got some timely hitting early in the game.
Yeah, and David Hernandez kind of got his way through into the 6th.